Yo, I am HyphenX, and welcome to the Great Conversation Podcast, where we indulge in healthy dialogue about topics that are important in today's society and culture. Hey, we had to run it back. Happy Earth Day. We had to run it back. Happy Earth Day. We are back at you with a panel, and we're going to be talking about round earthers versus flat earthers. Is this Earth? Is Mother Earth? Is it round or is it flat? You know what I'm saying? This time we do got a couple of just want to kind of keep it into questions. Last time it got a little crazy. Go ahead, share this right now, you know what I'm saying, with any and everybody. Today's show, we're talking about education, right? It's only proper, right? Today's show is sponsored by Kiefer's Entrepreneurial Academy. It's a private school, K through 12. This school is dedicated to building tomorrow's future today. Okay? Get this, let me tell you, the level of things that are going on. They got this program that's happening right now, this adopt a student program, okay, where you can bet on our future and you can invest your dollars into an individual child. You get a profile of that child. You get to keep up with that young studentpreneur's career, their what they're in need of and what they are accomplishing. Keep track of your dollar and in your investment. There you see it down there. You see it down there scrolling. www.kiefertsacademy.org. Go ahead, click on that and get involved today. We often talk about the village, but we don't really talk about the like members of the village's roles. You know, when some of the village members are a little bit more fortunate than others, it is our job and obligation to reach back and help and better the environment in which we live. It's an obligation at that point. My cup runneth over. That doesn't mean that fluid or that substance just goes to waste. You know what I'm saying? You know, your cup runneth over. Collect that and give that back. You know what I'm saying? Make a system, a canal. It's kind of shown, like, you know what I'm saying, in Earth what happens when things overflow and go. It kind of leads into what we're talking about today. I just want to talk about just a couple of things that are going on in where I'm from. Okay, uh, May 6th, we got the next level entrepreneurial workshop at 730 North Church Street from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Let me tell you guys something, and I just want to speak frankly. We are living in a city, in a town that is kind of, small town compared to big cities. We were big in the industrial stage of America. This is our new revolution. This is going to be the new wave. And let's catch on now. The AI. Okay, come to the workshop. I will have the link in the description. Come to the workshop, get some training, get ahead in your industry and become a leader. It's time for us to get out in front. All right. Also, on May the 20th, I have the Family Reunion Mental Health Forum. We got different couples on a panel, and they're all been a couple for a different amount of time. We got married couples, unmarried couples, couples that have been together for so long, but they should be married, but they not married. They believe in marriage, but they don't believe in the paper. We got every aspect that you can see all come together to talk about relationships and mental health. Okay, get your pockets right, get your mind right. Or is it get your mind right, get your pockets right? I think I like that way a little bit better. So that once you have a thought process on how to get the money, you know what I'm saying, it comes from a place of purity, you know what I'm saying, so therefore it keeps it from becoming easily corrupted, if you will. All right. Also, June 10th from 6 to 11, the Kika for Entrepreneuria's second annual gala is going to be happening with the theme Bet on Our Future. It's going to be at Exquisite's Bar and Grill. It's going to be hosted by Soulful Discussions' very own Tina Renee. And guys, we have the keynote speaker, We brought you a billionaire last year. Hold on, listen to what Kika for Entrepreneurial Academy is doing. We brought you a billionaire last year. This year, we're bringing you the king of client attraction, Marquell Russell. Come on out to the gala. I will have that link in the description. Also has sponsorship packages that are available. Now that we got the business handled, we've taken care of the grown-up work, if you will. Today, we are talking about Earth. Is it round? Is it flat? What is it? What's going on? And can you defend that? Can you defend that? Not so much what you believe, but can you defend it? All right, that's what we're talking about today. Bringing to the stage the founders of Kiekerfurt's Entrepreneurial Academy, the trailblazers in Black entrepreneurship starting at an elementary level. I have to use CEO, Brother Henry, and CFO, Sister Keshonda. Let me bring them on.
What's up?
Hello, how y'all doing?
You can hear us? You can hear us good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Coming in loud and clear. Thank y'all for coming on. Thanks y'all for coming back.
absolutely,
Thank you for having
absolutely.
us, brother.
Let's flatten out this truth. Get around the flat
We gonna see.
truth.
We gonna get up and around to it. Uh, is there anything that you would like to tell? I know I kind of gave you guys a brief intro, but kind of let the people know what who you are, what you're about.
Man, well, as you mentioned earlier, we're the founders of Kika First Entrepreneurial Academy, K-12, largest entrepreneur academy in the country. Every student who attends our school has to start a small business that generates revenue. Additionally, every student who attends the school has to publish a minimum of 1 book a year. Our students are learning STEM, they're learning artificial intelligence, public speaking, real estate, credit, digital marketing, funnel building, sales building, and the list goes on and on. So you actually would be ludicrous to not be trying to bust your child into our school. And quite the reverse, public schools across the country are teaching our children how to be good batteries. So if you don't want your child being a battery / slave for somebody else's thing, you want to break, the curses that have been put in our families, the curses of generational poverty, curses of generational traumas, the curses of just generation after generation not getting it right, then come to us. And not because we're so great, but because, like you mentioned, the village, we have an amazing network of people who are all dedicated with the same idea to help uplift our youth, help uplift our communities. So we out here, man, KEA. And yeah, tap in with us.
KA all day. And what I love about Kika First Entrepreneurial Academy, a lot of people give us a lot of lip, tongue, and teeth. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm tired of this. I'm mad at this. I don't want this to happen. Da 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 da. Well, here are boots to action here. Here is a plan that was executed. I love when you tell the story. I do. You know, about because if you don't know who CEO Brother Henry is in his story, I implore you to go out and listen to the story of constant rejection, or what some would say, I would say validation of society telling him that you're not good enough to work here.
Facts.
You're not good enough to be here. Get out of here. And here's the other part. It matches desire and not to want to be there, to be his own. And now he is helped leading other entrepreneurs to their first six figures in business. This is testimonial. These are things that we have to do as a community to give back and make sure and lift up one another. Now, Sister Keshonda, you didn't say too much. Is there something that you would like to say?
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be here again. I had a lot of fun last time, and I'm looking forward to the great conversation this time. And as Brother Henry said, uh, our school is, or no, I'm sorry, as you said, we are creating and changing generational curses, or not creating generational curses, but we're changing generational curses, and we're making I don't know the word for curses, but we're making new generational paths, I guess, and traditions for our students. And so I'm just excited
Yeah,
to
new tradition.
talk about our students.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Now let me bring on our other guest. Thank you two so much. Let me bring on our other guest. And make sure you guys are sharing this because here on the Great Conversation Podcast, man, we like to say that we want to hit every ear. I have an American businessman who's a top motivational speaker, investor, innovator, educator. His listen. I thought now he's a billionaire, but that's besides the point. That's the result. That's the result. When I was reading his bio, it says his one of his goals is to include reducing the cost of education for every country in the world. Why not be ambitious? It's a billionaire, damn it. We're talking to on the phone. This is ambition. The world, the world. Bring them on. I got Antonio T. Smith Jr.
What's happening? What's happening? Thank y'all so much for having me. I do appreciate you.
Man, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it so much for taking some time out your schedule to come talk to us today about the ancient old question: is the world round or is it flat? It's when I say it's a very ancient question. It's something that's been debated. Some people have been put to death for even thinking about bringing up this question to the masses.
This is true.
I'm going to propose a question to the ones that are here. We do have a hold on, let's see here. We got some okay. Got some people here. Hey, how y'all doing, man? Y'all know this is a live show. You can comment and we'll bring your comment up right here on the screen. So if you want to do so, please do so. We want to know. I want to know right now in the chat because I know who I got on the line. In the chat, do we have any flat earthers in the chat right now? Do we have any flat earthers in the chat right now? If you're a flat earther, man, throw your F's up. Let us know. let us know that you are a flat earther. And now I'm going to propose. Okay. So I know who I have on. Let me expose to the rest of us who we have on. I will start with the educators, the founders. Round, flat, why?
I'll go. So the Earth is round. It's not a perfectly round 360-degree circle, but it is round. And why? One of the questions that you posed was uh, you asked the question about why is it earlier, I think in particular, or why are we not flying, right? If it's spinning in the way that we say it's spinning. And we're not the Earth simply because of gravity, right? So gravity is pulling us towards the center of the Earth. Gravity is keeping us here, which is why the Earth's spinning at over 1,000 miles per hour. The reason why we don't fly off the Earth. And so, I guess a basic example is that is if you took a bucket of water or if you took a cup of water and you turned it upside down, it would spill, right? But if you created enough, not even force is the right word, but if you spin it fast enough, the water will stay inside the cup. No matter how big that hole is in the cup, is at a certain speed, it will no longer spin inside. It will no longer spill out of the cup. And so we on Earth are experiencing the same phenomenon, right? So the Earth is spinning, and we're not spilling out of the Earth or off of the Earth because of how fast. So you asked the question: if we're spinning, why don't we? But your answer is in your question: because we're spinning so fast. Why? fly off of the Earth. That's my why. And I also have an answer to your question about the curvature, but we'll get to that later. We can't hear you, Brother Hyphen.
Sorry, we're definitely going to get to that because the other side has arrived.
Oh, good. That's good. That's
The other
good.
side has arrived. Now it's a game. Now we got a B game. Now we got a ball game, folks. Aaron, I'm going to bring you one momentarily. I'm letting them finish why they believe the Earth is round. Sister Kishonda just said that she believes the Earth is round because of the force of gravity. And then she also answered one of the questions, but I'm going to let that simmer for a minute. All right, Brother Henry, go ahead.
All right.
Round, flat, why?
Well, spherical, right? A sphere, because it's a 3D object, so it's not necessarily perfectly round.
That's a good point.
So it's a sphere, but that also, in math, that matters because circumference, diameter. Anyway, I won't talk about any of those things. So this is what I'm going to say. I'm not because I don't want to jump in before the flat earth here, but let me say this. Do you know how I was told from the flat earthers that flat earth is flat and it's the largest conspiracy on the planet over slavery, over just anything, the largest conspiracy on the planet. Do you know how absurd it sounds to say that every person who gets a degree in aerial sciences, in engineering, in high-level mathematics, like any smart people basically are disqualified because they're all being deceived? I don't know when the last time the flat earthers rode an airplane, but there's about 8,000 airplanes in the air at any given point in time in the day. It takes a lot of math and science to keep those planes doing what they're doing. And to say that the pilots who fly the planes are deceived, air traffic control is deceived, anyone who's taken a class on chemistry, biology, anatomy, geography, to say that all of us are deceived about science is insane to me. So one of the things that was interesting to me is that they pick and choose the sciences. Like they say gravity doesn't exist. So the last episode I asked the question, prove it. There's a lot of high buildings out there. Go jump. Prove that gravity doesn't exist and you got me. But nobody would take me up on my offer to jump off a skyscraper and let me know the results, right? So I just want to consider the absurdity to say that the conspiracy goes as far as Delta, it goes as far as Spirit. Maybe Spirit got some conspiracies, but it ain't it ain't the world is flat. Spirit, Southwest, JetBlue, Alaskan. Like if you're a person who travels, you understand that you understand things about the earth. So I pointed out last time that the hemisphere, southern hemisphere, you see everything differently than you see it in the northern hemisphere. Weather operates differently in the northern hemisphere than the southern hemisphere. But if you never had a passport to get out of your country to go see the rest of the world, then to you this is a made-up phenomenon. But you can't tell me what I've seen being in the southern hemisphere doesn't exist. I've seen it with my own eyes, right? So I don't want to jump. I want to watch today. I'm gonna do a lot of listening today because I want to hear. But the absurdity of the argument, the ice wall, the firmament, other planets on this planet that are the military is guarding. So you like right now, I got my laptop pulled up and I found 10 different tourism sites to Antarctica. They don't say nobody's talking about an ice wall that surrounds the world. You can go all around that bad boy and come back home. You can go to the South Pole, come back home. Like all these people are not part of the conspiracy. That's my point. It sounds absurd. So just the basis of the argument to me is crazy. Like it doesn't even make any sense. So anyway, I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna fall back. I'm gonna be real quiet today. But yeah. You gotta prove to me with science and math. I'm a science and math person. All right. If you can prove it in science and math, it exists to me. If you can't prove it in science and math, it's your theory. And so this whole Harry Potter world that we're talking about is theory to me.
Oh,
until I see what's the character name? Hogwarts or somebody? Until Hogwarts.
Oh man.
Showing me the flat. Yo,
this is charged language.
You gotta
this is charged language.
I'm just saying.
this this charge like all right. So we I appreciate that. We heard what you had to say, Antonio. Flat Earth, flat, round, wide.
The Earth is round. I do apologize. The Earth is round. I don't just have one thing. I can think of 30 things, maybe 40 off the top of my head. To give a little background, I almost became a quantum physicist, and I'm still thinking about, to this day, becoming a quantum physicist. In 2015, when I graduated with my master's, I went to the University of Houston to go get my PhD in mathematics. But since I came from a liberal arts school, they wanted me to start over from my bachelor's, but I didn't have to start all the way over. And then I thought about it, and I was like, okay, so I had two options to go from get my PhD in mathematics or get my PhD in developmental cognitive neuroscience. And they were going to just let me roll right in there on the master's level. So I literally almost became a quantum physicist, but in 2016, when I was about to enroll, I became a millionaire. So there was no way they were going to get money out of me from tuition when I no longer need to go to school to make money. So I'm a bit of a nerd, and math and things like that are something that I really, really found interesting. So I can think about 30 things. I'll just touch on gravity just because everybody else has touched on gravity, and without even giving facts. And I've got plenty of facts on gravity. And I can even understand why people would say gravity wouldn't exist or it's an illusion. Einstein thought that gravity did not exist because if you remove the background of the world, then you couldn't see anything falling. And if you couldn't see anything falling, then nothing's actually in motion. And if nothing's actually in motion, then gravity, he theorized with a thought experiment, may not exist. So if a flat earther is saying that, that's a solid argument. But the absence or the addition to Einstein's argument in his last days, not only do they not prove that the earth is flat, we have some major issues besides the fact that this general and relative theory, it's theory of relativity and this general theory of relativity shows the sphere, the fourth dimension, bending during an eclipse. So gravity works like this without the nerd talk. And I got plenty of nerd talk, Hyph. I got plenty of nerd talk. Without that, I want everybody to make a flat hot air balloon. Don't make it round. Don't make it spherical. Make it flat. And let it respect all the laws of thermodynamics. This flat balloon, let's put Sister Keshonda, Brother Henry, Brother Hyph, myself, everybody in the YouTube chat. I have my entire page. I'm not even looking at StreamYard. I'm looking at YouTube, right? So I got my entire page on YouTube. And let's put 1 million other people. Actually, let's put one person. Let's put one Keshonda on the flat earth. On the flat balloon. When she grabs the center point, she, in all intents and purposes, become gravity. And when you think about what will happen to the flat fabric when she pulls against it at 9.86 meters a second, that flatness will bend in the center. That's a fact. Indeed. Now let's all do a thought experiment. If the balloon was flat, this like a 3,000 count fitted sheet or something. If Sister Keshonda grabs the center, it will come down. Yes, it will come down. Now, if you pull evenly on every single side, it won't just come down. It will come down in a sphere, as Brother Henry said. So right there, without even talking nerdly, we can just do a simple thought experiment and pull a flat balloon and pull it down. Just grab it, and it will become its own sphere from our weight. And gravity does the same thing to every piece of matter on this planet. Not just this planet, any planet. Gravity is not just here to make us sexy chocolate black men with 250 pounds of muscle. Because
this is a light skin show. This is a light skin show.
My bad. Let me include the light skin brothers. Gravity's not just here. There you go. To make us melanated folk and anybody else give us our weight. Gravity pulls everything spherically. And you can just do that simple thought experiment with a hot air balloon. And you can see it if you make it flat. If we get it and grab it, it will pull. That's what gravity does. And I haven't even brought in science. That's just human observation. Okay, I'm done now.
Well,
probably took a while.
No, that's fine. That's fine. All right. So the round earthers have come to play. The round earthers have come to play. I feel like I only got the tip of the iceberg of what they want to say. But now I'm bringing on entrepreneur Aaron Moore. Let me bring him on. Hey, what's up, bro?
What's happening, family? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coming in loud and clear, man.
And
now,
how's everybody doing?
Well, I'm doing great. Happy Earth Day to you.
Doing great, King. Doing great.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Nice meeting you. Heard a lot about you. Never actually met you. Good to meet you.
Yes, sir. Nice meeting you too, sir. I appreciate you.
Now that the semantics are out the way.
They were genuine semantics, though. I do like meeting.
Let's put our dual gloves back on. Now, Aaron, I'm going to propose the same question to you that I did to them. Round, flat, or why? And why?
The Earth is flat. It's not devoid of terrain, but there's no curvature on the Earth. We do have mountains, we do have valleys, highs and lows, but there is no curvature on the Earth. We're not on a spherical ball traveling through space. And I would like to say that it's kind of asinine to think that somebody just woke up one day and felt that way. You know what I mean? We all were taught the same truths or lies, whatever they were. We all were indoctrinated through the same way in school. Nobody went to a separate class where they taught, flat earth science. Nobody woke up one day and said, you know what? I don't feel it moving. It must be flat. This happens from realizing that we've been lied to, not just about the earth, but we all listen to governmental conspiracies, things in politics, things in education that we just don't agree with. And then when we start doing our own research, you realize that, okay, this doesn't jive. This isn't actually factual. And the flat earth goes a long way into part just realizing that we've been lied to. We've been lied to. So when people tell you, okay, I've got facts to back up the fact that the earth is round, we were all taught those same facts. That's the teaching. That's the indoctrination. When somebody tells you the earth isn't round, I disagree with that. It's not saying that, I wrote a book over here and I got a PhD that tells me the earth is flat. What it's saying is I disagree with how you're trying to indoctrinate me. I don't agree with that. And the curvature, the numbers that they put out there does not match up. That's where I was able to put my stake at, in the curvature. I'm glad we have a mathematician online because Henry don't believe in Pythagorean theorem. You know what I mean? So if you want to talk about 8 inches per mile squared, he'll tell you that doesn't add up to anything. You can't use that in math or in any way to determine anything. But in reality, I'm glad we have a PhD level mathematician right here to let you know that 8 inches per mile squared is a measurement that you can use to figure out something. It actually is measuring arc height. What gets people twisted is the fact that people say, okay, if curvature is real, I can go both sides of the argument. People say if curvature is real, I shouldn't be able to see this thing from this point. And what they're actually realizing is that the height is allowing you to see further. The thing about curvature is the object in the distance should not be level. One should be apart from each other if we're on a sphere. And that's where curvature comes into play. If I'm going through so many miles of curvature, it's not that I should not be able to see that object. I can raise my elevation to be able to see that object, but that object should not be level with me if it's on the other side of a sphere. So people get things twisted. We have different opinions, but nobody's here to say, oh, you grew up the wrong way, or I grew up different. You know what I'm saying? I learned flat earth somewhere. Nah. I looked into Glober. I came from y'all perspective. I was a skeptical too. I actually was looking into Admiral Byrd when I learned about flat earth, and I kept skipping past some YouTube videos because it didn't make sense to me either. How is the earth flat? When I actually had an open mind to be able to listen to it, it's like, okay, wait a minute. And it's another thing. We all learn separate ways. There's visual learners. There's people who have to learn through experience. There's people who learn through instruction. If you are not someone who can picture something visually, this is not a conversation you're going to be able to have an intelligent point of view from, because nobody has seen curvature on Earth. Nobody has seen the edge of the Earth. Nobody has witnessed the ice wall. Because if we're being lied to, those things are being protected. So we're having a conversation that involves us being able to use our minds and say, okay, I can agree with what you're saying in theory because I have to picture it in my mind. It's like your explanation about the hot Earth balloon. It's a mind thing. We had to picture that. You know what I mean? So we're going to talk about the edge of the Earth or why it's being protected. If there's ice walls there or not, or the firmament, we have to picture it. You know what I mean? So we can break down why the shape of a rainbow is the shape of a rainbow, why the rainbow has the shape that it does. You know, if you construct the rainbow, you have to have a water dispersion, a light source, and a reflector. And the rainbow is going to take the shape of the reflector. So every rainbow on Earth ever seen has been arced. So where is that dome shape coming from? Now, I can't tell you. I know for a fact, I've touched the firmament before, but the math doesn't add up to tell me flat out there's nothing up there reflecting this shape. So I can say I don't agree with what I'm being told. Now, when it comes back to flat Earth, the math is supposedly there that gives us a spherical shape inside of 24,901 miles. When you look at that math, it doesn't add up to be able to give you the things that we actually see with our own eyes. I believe there is no curvature on Earth.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's start right there.
You're gonna have to. You're gonna have. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be talking. You're gonna have to because he brought a rock solid argument. You don't have no choice, as he was spitting 90% facts after facts after facts. You don't have a choice. You know, or your whole program is fraudulent if you don't start there. Because he brought the heat. Yeah, you don't have a choice.
hey, this is my guy Aaron.
Well educated.
So let's go. So he's my man Aaron, the flat earther on the podcast today, had just said that there's no curvature on Earth. Round earthers, I will allow you to rebut.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
So Aaron, I don't have a tennis ball with me, so the best I have is my fist. But would you agree that to some degree my fist is round?
I'm with you.
Right. So I'm moving my fist closer towards the camera. Right. Can you see the curvature of my fist, Aaron? Yes or no?
I love that argument, and I understand exactly where you're going.
I just can you see?
I get it.
So she just wants you to answer the question. No. Can you see the curvature?
When you get close to it, you should not be able to see the curvature. Problem with that argument is,
Aaron.
Hold on.
Okay, don't
let her finish.
No retorts.
No, wait. You will be able to let her finish. So she said no. He answered your question. He said no.
Sorry, I apologize.
No.
Retort me in real time. Okay, retort me in real time. All right.
I'm move my fist. I want you to stop when you can see the curvature.
Okay.
Right there, right?
All right.
So the Earth works the exact same way as my fist. You can't see the curvature from your position. So two things is important. You are approximately 6 feet tall. You can't see the curvature of a what's the Earth of the surface that's 24,000 miles in circumference. The sheer mass of the Earth doesn't allow you to see its curvature. However, if you move far away enough from the Earth, you will see it. But as you move closer, being only 6 feet tall, you can't see the curvature because it's 24,000 miles in circumference. So that's one argument. You have to move further away from it to see it.
Can I answer yet?
If again you want to talk about being able to picture something, if I had a basketball in my hand right now,
like we had last episode,
like we had last time, you would see the curvature of the basketball because the basketball is approximately, we'll say, a foot in circumference. So because of the sheer tininess of the basketball compared to you, you can see that curvature. But even if I took that basketball and put it right up on your face, you're not going to see it until you start to move away from it. So our eyes don't allow us to see curvature from certain distances. You have to be so far away from it in order to see it. Whether it's Earth, whether it's an egg, whether it's a basketball, it does not matter what you're looking at. You will never see the curvature of it unless you're a certain distance away from it. Doesn't matter what it is. So
okay,
can I respond now?
You can't see curvature. I agree with you. Nobody can see the curvature on the Earth because of its sheer size. You will never see it unless you move away from it. You cannot stand on the corner of 75th and Stony Island in Chicago and say that you can't see the curvature of a surface that's 24,000 miles in circumference. You will never see that. But if you go stand on the moon, now you can see the curvature, right? So that's why you cannot see it. And I guess for me, as a flat earther, you can't explain to me why you can't see it outside of
whoa.
you can't
Right.
do what I just said and
You might
refuse.
not be able to grasp my explanation.
You can't tell me that what I just said is a lie. Ultimately, is my point. Not even talking about, you said that we can't use it.
You definitely did not lie to me about your explanation.
Okay. Let him. You asked the question. I want to get, you gave an explanation to that question. I would like to let him respond.
Facts.
All right. Now, there's a huge misconception about curvature. All right. Since we're getting visual, let's look at, we're on the beach looking at the ocean, and we always see a straight line. Okay. People say, why can't I see the curvature of the Earth? Boats drift off and they become invisible. Globers will tell you they went over the curve. Flat earthers will tell you it's just out of sight. Why can't I see the curvature of the Earth? The misconception is that people feel like 24,901 miles is so huge that you should not be able to see anything. But the problem with that is we're on a sphere. There are no flat parts. Okay, now the Earth has a surface, a crusted surface. We're built on top of everything else. What happens is, like my man Pythagoras, he broke it down. How much curvature is there in order to get from point A back around to point A? How much curvature is there mile by mile by mile? It grows exponentially. That's why it's 8 inches per mile squared. So in 1 mile, you may not be able to see the fact that there's 8 inches or 7.96777 whatever inches of curvature in that 1 mile. When you get to 4 miles, now we're talking about 10 feet of curvature. When you get to 10 miles, now we're talking about 54 feet. And again, I'm not saying that it's curving away from you. I'm not saying like you can look out and see the world is bent. What I'm saying is something that is so far away has amount of curvature between you and that point, Your elevation might make that other point visible, but you cannot remove the curvature of the Earth. It's there. You have to be able to see it. The problem is we do not. So what we should see is objects that are so far away should be leaning away from us. Like you brought up the basketball. That's the part that people have a hard time grasping, that leaning away from us part. If you brought up I'll take a small spherical object right here. Okay. If you get my camera right. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm on one point and you're on the other. We should not be level with each other. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We have to be level with the surface that we're on. So as we go around, I'm going to be level with the ground that I'm on. So if I get to where, if you do the math, it does say, I had to look up the math. I didn't believe it either. It says 8 inches per mile square. That's too small. But the Earth itself is only 24,000 miles around. That's small. It's not vast. It's very small. I drove back and forth to here from Arizona. That's 2,000 miles. If I go there enough times around the Earth is not something to where the curvature is so vast you should not be able to see it. And again, it's not the fact you're going to see the ground bend. It's the fact that this building that's 20, 30 miles away has a be leaning away from me because it's level for the ground that it's on. It cannot be level for me where I'm standing at 20 miles away, everywhere on a sphere. It doesn't work that way. So curvature isn't like you're going to go out to the beach and see the horizon curve. Nah, we have to be making a complete circle inside of 24,000 miles. You can't look at something from Rockford. We can see Byron. We can see the smoke plumes at the nuclear plant in Byron. They're perfectly straight up and down. That's 20 miles away. Even the smoke goes straight up. That's 20 miles away. There's so much curvature to where those buildings should look nearly sideways. They shouldn't be straight up and down. That's how curvature works. It's not that the Earth is so vast and we can't see curvature. We're on a sphere. Things have to be tilted away from us at a certain distance. Nothing ever does.
So I know.
So my man, go right ahead.
Please retort. Go ahead. I'll stop. You start.
Part of the problem for me with your argument, Aaron, is that you want to compare us as if we are on the surface of the Earth, if that makes sense. So at a certain point, the Earth touches outer space, right? So that's what, when I say the surface, that's what I mean. We're not on the Earth. We're
there couldn't be no space though with flat earthers though.
Right. So we're not on the surface. So you want to compare us as if we're both on the outside of the Earth. We're inside of the Earth. So that's my problem with your argument is that make that same argument, only talk to me about us being inside the Earth because we're not on its surface.
No. What I'm talking about is the rock part of the world is 24,901 miles in a spherical shape, not the atmosphere, not the part that's kissing space that's supposedly there. The rock part. I know that our civilizations have grown the surface up. I'm accounting for that. What I'm telling you is that elevation will give you the opportunity to see something that curvature should be hiding from you. But that's
about the Earth's crust.
Right, the Earth's crust. Right.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you. That's what that PhD is good for. Thank you for introducing. You know what I'm saying? Help us out. Now, the Earth's crust has a curve to it. It has to. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be a perfectly round shape, but in 24,901 miles, you do come back around to where you started from. That measurement is what Pythagoras broke down to figure out how much curve is in each mile. So when you say it's too vast to see, you're saying to me, I don't see a curve that should be there. That's what we're saying to you. It's not there.
That's not
right.
That's
what I'm saying. It takes. You have to be able to understand curvature in a mathematical form to realize what you're looking at is not showing you what you should see.
I'm certainly going to bring that up in a little bit. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it.
That's absolutely not what's being said. Where is the flat Earth argument that says because I don't see it, it doesn't exist is not true.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
That just because you don't see it doesn't. So here's the reality: if you get in an airplane and you flying above the stratosphere about 6 miles high, typically you can see about 50 miles forward, right? At the highest points of elevation, you can see, I think it said like 200 something miles out. At that point, though, you still can't see for forever, right? If you have something flat, like you all are proposing, and then there's this ice wall that covers, I'm not sure how much it covered, whatever the case may be. Like there's just certain sciences to sight, vision, and height with
eyes have limitations.
All the dimensions that we exist in, the 4 dimensions we exist in. So that you're saying, well, because we don't see it, it doesn't exist. That's not true, right?
What I'm saying is because it's supposed to be there, it has to show up. I'm not saying, well, I don't see it. No. You're giving me a measurement. You're giving me an exact measurement and telling me how much curvature is on this Earth, but it's not visible. I'm not the one that's saying it doesn't exist. It just is not visible.
So you're saying that you see the math is there. Where is it at? if the math is there, where is it at?
Yeah, you gotta let me jump in at this point. You gotta let me jump in. Yeah, you
please
gotta let me
jump
jump
in.
in. You gotta let me jump in because I hear my man's intelligence. I want to, before we get to please rebuttal me in real time, like real time, like when I'm at before I get to a comma, like, hey, what about this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like real talk. All right. I respect the fact that you don't want to be indoctrinated. I have no intentions, and I say this, and I know this is going to be worldwide, of being indoctrinated by the dominant culture. So I'm going to kind of lean heavy on math.
Right, I'm with that.
Because math is universal and not
Right.
European. That's if anything, black folk invented math, and that's a fact. All right, that's a fact. So I want to lean mathematically on something universal instead of European doctrine or dominant culture doctrine, or however you may want to say. I respect that. I respect that 100%. And then you said something way earlier in the beginning about government protection. That's a fact. Like, so everything you said before Sister Keisha to talk, and even when you said it, and I agree with her, and I agree with you. I agree with every essential that you got, except for one, and that's the curvature of the earth mathematics you're doing. But I'll explain it here in a second.
All right.
Because we're talking about essentials versus non-essentials. So what Brother Henry brought up is commonly called the straw man fallacy.
I'm with that.
People have picked the weakest point of an argument, attack that, exaggerate it, right, and run with it. So essentially, we know for sure that government corruption, indoctrination, and flat earthers have a very strong and positive and accurate point about NASA maybe falsifying videos. And you ain't even got to go to NASA. You could just go to the fact that there are pyramids in China, and China's government won't let us see them, even though we got drones and airplanes that expose that. So we know this, that governments are trash. I was looking for a scientific positive word here, but we can just agree with my man Aaron that works. I'm gonna save the curvature. Okay, so by accident, in your free thinking, you accidentally got indoctrinated with the 8 inches per square mile. Are you saying per square? Well, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, but
per mile.
Okay, there you go. That's not the formula. And flat earthers do that by accident. It's what happens is,
can we agree that it is a Pythagorean theorem?
Oh, this is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Like, this is 100% facts. Like, we're not arguing. In fact, I ain't arguing nothing you said. The formula that has accidentally been adopted by flat earthers is incomplete. It's not the formula. So let me break down what this. And you're saying something extremely intelligent, and I know I don't want to say I know. I don't want to be presumptuous, but I'm pretty sure that our modern audience is 12 levels, 25 levels below your thinking. So let me explain to them what you mean. He's not talking about the circumference of the earth. He's talking about the formula for the curvature of the earth, or the alleged curvature of the earth. And that math as presented does not add up, and it does not. He's right. He's 100%, 1,000,000,000% right. You couldn't prove him wrong if you tried it. It would be unfair to prove him wrong. But the formula actually goes like this. It is curvature in inches equals distance in miles times 8 inches. It is not 8 inches equals, everything you said. It is curvature in miles. The curvature equals distance in miles times 8 inches. That's what's left out by accident. So in plain English, this means that for every mile of distance from the Earth's surface that is supposedly curving downward, this is what King Aaron's talking about, by an additional 8 inches,
Exponential.
This curvature is multiplied by the square of the number of miles. For example, this plain, I'm trying to do plain English, but I'm a nerd and it's kind of, I probably messed this up. You might have to clean it up for me, Aaron. You know, so you might clean it up.
It's all good.
Yeah. For example, after 2 miles, the curvature would be 2 squared times 8, which equals 32 inches. This is what's missing from King Aaron's formula. It's not so, and it's not you. It's we're all programmed. I agree with you 100%. No matter how woke we are all programmed in what we call hypermodernity these days. This is postmodernism. They mean the same thing. This is where, so just a quick class in world history. I'll skip all the antiquity and Bible stuff and go straight to 1,500 to 1,500 is Dark Ages. People didn't care about writing anything down. The church told them they were stupid. Shut up, listen to God, don't write nothing down. And then from 1500 to 1750 was the Renaissance period, which means Renaissance is an Italian, a Latin word that means rebirth. When was the world fantastic? It was during the Greek period or the antiquity period. So let's rebirth what used to be. And every generation does that right now. Baby boomers are trying to get back what used to be. Like you can see this argument in church right now. Everybody agrees on the word. Everybody hates worship because worship should be the way it used to be, right? You can see that argument playing out in itself. From 1750 to 1850, you have what you call the Enlightenment period, where everybody said, F miracles, get out of here, stop playing all that trash. Ain't nothing going down like that. And then this ushers in the modern period in which we all, pretty much everybody here was born into, we were kind of born. The modern period ends about Roswell slapping the area, what is it, Area 41, Area 50, whatever.
Area 51.
There you go, Area 51, somewhere around when because Aaron's right now, because we go from 1940, no technology, to 1946, Velcro and extreme technology, medicine works, to 1950, to where, holy crap, 8-track tapes and cars, to 1970, we're flying to the moon, July 20th, 1969. That actually happened or allegedly happened. To today, we got AI getting ready to replace us all.
Right.
And this is in the span of 60 years. That makes no sense. Like in the last 60 years, the technological advances of mankind are skeptical at best. So everything this man is saying is on point. Unfortunately, though, King, the formula that got picked up by whomever, I don't know, but I know a lot of flat earth stuff because I love opposing viewpoints, so I love just listening to people. The actual formula goes 2 miles. Assuming we're doing 2 miles, you got to square that 2 miles, and then you multiply that 2 miles by 8, which then equals 32 inches. That square is missing from the formula. Now, while that will not prove you wrong, and while that would not prove me
some
right,
point it still has to curve, right?
No doubt. You get what I'm saying? Right. Well, that won't prove you wrong and it won't prove you right. What it does is it does tell you, though, one of the main arguments of flat earthers has the mathematical formula wrong and have not decided to research something that could be Googled upon its own. And I'm not saying you, I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying that we are all, my thesis at the beginning was we are all programmed. We are all indoctrinated. And I agree with you that we are. So I don't want you to think that I believe in the world being round because the white man told me to, and it's indoctrinate. And that would be a strong argument. And you would be fair, as we believe that the American Revolution was a revolution, in which it was not. The French Revolution was a revolution. They went off with people's heads. They then established a new government. America established the same government as England, just without a king. It's the same government. There's nothing different. So that's not a revolution. We just call it a revolution because the white man told us to call it a revolution. Let's just keep it real, right? That's what happened. So I'm with you, and I don't mean to dominate the conversation, but I do want to, yeah, I do want to say a few things about curvature, if you don't mind. I really do want to. That this disappear. Okay, so the idea. Forget that it could be. It doesn't make any sense for me to tell you that the Earth can be seen from the curvature of space, because for flat earther there is no space. It shouldn't be. You're not allowed to think there's a space. I wish flat earthers would say the Earth is cubed. That actually makes more sense than flat. Cubed, according to our arguments, makes more sense than flat. It's cubed Earth, not flat Earth.
That flat makes it easy for somebody to argue with you because it's obviously not flat. We have terrain. That's why I say it's devoid of curvature.
You did. You should. You know what? I'm glad you reminded me.
I want you to continue, but my one question: when you get done,
yeah.
Can you tell me how?
Go ahead now.
Can you tell me how much curvature we should have within 20 miles? The reason I use that because I can go right onto the bridge over the Rock River, and look 20 miles south, and see the nuclear plant.
Yeah, so it would be fair enough. I mean, and Sarah Palin also says she can go out in her backyard in Alaska and see Russia. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I'm saying? That actually happened. They lost the election. Okay.
Yeah. With that that you gave us, how much curvature would that?
It should be 20 squared. It should be 20 squared times 8 is what it should be. 20 squared.
And it's gonna come back in inches, right?
Right, absolutely. It should be 20 squared times 8 is what it should be in that, and that should equal the curvature of the Earth. It should be 20 miles squared, and then you multiply that by inches, and that equals the curvature of the Earth. And again,
you're doing that by hand.
No, I'm doing it by memory because that's oh he might be doing it by hand.
12 to get the feet. I'm saying
the chat said 30
feet.
Right.
The chat
so somebody
320 chats. 320 inches in the chat.
But I'm afraid though, like, so if a mile is 5,280 feet in respect to that mile, you need to go 5,280 feet times. You get what I'm saying? Like 5,000. But anyway, let me not muddy the waters too much. You know what I'm saying? When you add the full formula, no, we good. Like we good. So when you add the full formula.
Go ahead.
It's different. No, go ahead. No, you go ahead. You go ahead. And I will, because the curvature is one of the biggest arguments. It's a sound argument, and it's hard to disprove unless you're.
It would be different if, like, if you can get to a point to where 266 feet of curvature between here and there. If I could just see a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then we could be arguing like, okay, you know what? My math is off. Your math is right. But when it's zero, then it's like no matter what formula for curvature that you have, if there's no curvature, then we're still being lied to.
I agree we're being lied to. It's kind of hard to say there's no curvature because we have a horizon. So let's take it out of indoctrination, and let's take it out of math, out of anything nerd, and let's just put it into basic human observer. Yeah. Human appearance, human observation, right? And I agree, we're being lied to. There's no doubt about it. You know, we're being lied to.
Curvature?
I will lose. You know what? Forget a ship. You brought up a ship earlier. Let's just talk about how the sun and its rays don't go across the earth and the horizon at the same time. That there is going to be an argument. And I admit you've presented some arguments that are difficult, extremely near impossible to get around. But the way the sun's rays don't, because if the earth was flat, and this is a fact now, if it's 180 degrees or you know what, right. No, I'm not going to give you 180 degrees because round earthers would love to say, well, it's not actually a sphere, it's not 360 degrees. So I'm not going to let them get out of 360 degrees and then not let you out of 180 degrees. That's fair, right? You know what I'm saying? That's a fair argument. That's a fair argument. So basically, but we understand there should be some sort of half light at the same time with without discretion. This flatness should, if it was 180-ish degrees flatness, as soon as the sun rises, and that's a difficult thing in itself because the sun never rises, by the way. The only reason we get the illusion of the sun rising.
Yeah, there we go. All right, thank you.
No doubt. All right. Okay. All right.
Perspective on how to think. Right.
No doubt. So no doubt. So, but so I would love you. I'm going to stop talking in 10 seconds, but I would love you to tackle, and this is difficult now. I'm not telling you, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but this is what we're here for, right? You know what I'm saying? But I do it with kindness, though. I'm not like it's difficult to explain why half the sun's rays don't happen in that instant if it was flat, because if it was flat, then that would happen instead of being round. So I'll let you respond, and I may be wrong. It's not my intent to be right, but it is my intent to have a great, entertaining conversation for the people watching.
All right, this is where the rabbit hole.
And Aaron, before you answer, man, I just want to remind everybody that this is the Great Conversation Podcast. I am HyphenX. We're having we are having a great conversation right now about round earthers versus flat earthers right here on the Earth's birthday, I guess, Earth Day. Okay. So Aaron's getting ready to answer some questions here about the sun rays and why they don't hit the Earth all at one time. All right. So Aaron, the floor is yours.
Hold on real quick. Before he goes, he was talking about the rabbit hole, which is fair. Which is fair. So if he can't answer this question, we can't answer questions in quantum physics. So I just need y'all to get, if he says, well, that's not something we can answer yet, that's a fact. That's not him weaseling himself out, because this is why we have PhDs in the first place, doctors of things we don't know yet. Philosophy is what that is, by the way, right? So if quantum physics, if I know how fast something is going, I don't know where it is. If I know where it is, I don't know how fast it's going. And no matter how much I try, the rabbit hole won't let me. So just in defense of you, I just want people to know you ain't BSing when you say we going down a rabbit hole. All right, go ahead, King. Go ahead. Yeah.
The direction I was going when I say the rabbit hole gets deep, and we talking about being lied to and everything else, it's not just the Earth's surface being curved. Talking about the sun's rays. The flat Earth model also says we're being lied to about the size of the sun, the rotation of the sun, and the moon. So we don't have a sun that's 400 million miles away, as vast as we imagine it. We have more like kind of what the scriptures say, a local light for the day and a light for the night.
But it would be in this atmosphere, though, then, right? It wouldn't be outside an atmosphere. It would be in this one.
So
it would have to be.
No lie. I don't know. I can't say if it's in the firmament or up against the firmament, but yes, in this atmosphere. Fair enough. It would have to be. The arguments would say there is no space, there is, it can't be, you can't be a flat earther and then say the earth is that far away. I mean, the sun is that far away, because it disproves flat earth in itself. Okay, keep going. In the flat earth model, the things are up against the firmament. I can't say if they're trapped within the firmament. The things I'm saying about the lights of the heavens,
I got you.
The sun, the moon, the stars, the other planets, they all rotate within or up against the firmament. So therefore, our local light, our sun, is a lot smaller. It's basically, in the flat earth model, the sun is the size that you see it with your own eyes. So therefore, it's not lighting up half of the world at one point. It's lighting up where it is. That's why we have time zones. That's why in California is 2 hours behind us right now. You know what I mean? So it's not fast enough to give Illinois and California the same amount of light at once. You know what I mean? So we have a local light, and in the globe model, the earth is spinning. In the flat earth model, the sun is rotating above us. So that's how.
And in fairness to you, the Bible kind of suggests such behavior. All right, keep going. I got you.
Hop in.
I have a question.
Yes.
With the flat earth model, with the flat earth model, with the sun being either in the firmament or outside the firmament, right? You said up against it some type of way.
Right.
How do you get temperature variations, right? How is it 100 degrees in California, Vegas, 100 degrees in Florida, but yet Illinois can be cold during that exact same time period. So, for example, when we were in Houston, it was
That's a
80.
tough question.
In Illinois, y'all was getting tornadoes, rain, and snow, right?
Exactly.
So,
and I've asked myself, go ahead.
That's a tough question.
Rotating the way that you're explaining it, or I'm sorry,
He don't love you, by the way. That's a setup question. He don't love you. Don't let him be your friend after this podcast.
I work with this man every day. I work with this man every day.
That's a setup. That's a tough question. That's a tough question.
And the thing is, you gotta know Henry. You know what I'm saying? If you let Henry talk, he gonna hang you. He gonna put you in a corner that you can't get out of. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes use a little bit of bars, a little bit of rap game. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of spice to get you in that corner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was in the streets. He was in them streets. Yeah.
True story.
Yeah. But go ahead. I'm listening.
No.
Oh no. Henry, it's on you. I'm actually defend him.
No, that was his question.
Okay. So that's on you, brother.
Okay, so we're talking about the sun, the size of the sun still, right?
No, he's talking about the different weather patterns, and he's arguing that different weather patterns prove that the Earth is spherical because it's blocking the other side.
In my observations, investigation, research, the sun is not the only form of heat on our planet, or we wouldn't have cold winters. We have sunny days in the wintertime, and it's freezing outside. The winds control our temperature more than the sunlight does. If you look at the weather, they'll tell us we're getting Arctic air from Canada, and we'll have a cold front. But we're still getting sunny days, though. The sun doesn't control our temperature independently.
So
that's good.
That does beg, though. I'm sorry. No. You go ahead. Just let me put that in my memory so I can come back to it.
So then I guess I'm curious about. So here's what I'm thinking is the temperature and the amount of sunlight. You're saying that they're one and the same, right? Like, because we can get a sunny day in the winter. So yes, the sun can be visible in the winter, but I'm saying
the sun isn't the only thing that's controlling our temperature.
That was a solid argument, and to this very end, that was a solid argument. Yeah, the very end set you up. The very end.
So then my question is, if the sun's not the main source of heat on our planet, what else is heating the planet?
Okay, now can I go from there? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
right. I didn't say it wasn't the main source. I said it's not controlling our temperature independently. So if you notice, things at the equator, which gets the majority of the sun or the most sunlight compared to other parts of the Earth, are warmer. So you can say that continual sunlight will give you a tropical.
You can't make that Earth is flat, brother. The only way that you can say something about the equator and the sun is if the Earth is a sphere. You can't even make that point as a flat earther because according to Paul, there is no. I
can answer both at the same exact time. I can answer both at the same exact time. So your argument is that we're on the surface here. Let me get it back. We're on the surface here.
This way.
But where's the equator?
I'm giving it to you. This is our world. We're on the surface here. The equator in the globe model goes around this way, right around the middle.
Right.
Okay? No, you're answering the question. The reason why the equator is.
I mentioned the equator and you lurched at me, Queen. Hold on.
I'm sorry because it doesn't.
I'm just explaining.
This is gonna be a good podcast. I hope you let this be 10 hours.
Here.
I'm sorry.
Line the globe here, and the equator is here. Okay, on the flat Earth model. Come back this way.
Wait, hold on. We can't talk at the same time. We're not gonna be able to hear each other.
Being the only female on I realize I'm kind of emotional, but
I'm listening. My mama told me shut up right quick. I'm listening.
If we on a flat Earth, if we're on a flat Earth, the sun cannot make the equator hotter, brother. So you can't say that. So the question he said is he asked the question about the sun heating the Earth. You said it's not the main source.
It's not the independent source. Okay, so now can I explain?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna mute my mic.
I'm very interested in this. I'm very interested in this. I'm very interested.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So what do you say, Aaron? She said you can't believe in, you can't say nothing about the equator in a flat Earth model. You can't.
exactly. I'm finna break that down.
Yeah,
Globe
yeah,
model.
I'm
Earth
interested.
is a continents are on the outside. Equator goes. Earth is this, and your equator is basically right here, right on the United ring. It's still in the middle, but the continents are on the flat plane. So your equator still goes around the same parallel that it normally would. Just your continents are not on the edge; they're in the middle. The sun travels inward and outward as it spirals above us, still spending the majority of time where in the middle, of course, because that's the equator. So even on a flat Earth model, you still get more sun at the equator because the sun goes back and forth. And of course, you spend the majority of the time on the middle if you go back and forth. Now, what I'm saying is the sun does heat the Earth. It's not the independent source of heating the Earth. We have, just like we get a cold front, we get warm fronts. Our winds also control our temperature. It gives us our seasons by moving inward and outward as it spirals above. For spiraling above, we have a tight spiral. In the summertime, we have a wide spiral. In the wintertime, we get less sunlight. In the wintertime, we get more sunlight in the summertime. That's why we have daylight savings. In the wintertime, it's dark by 4:30 because the sun has moved further west. In the summertime, it's dark at 8:30 because the sun is hanging around over us.
I see exactly what you're saying.
Sorry, so,
it has I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go
ahead.
Okay, so my question then is, I approximately how high above the Earth is the sun? And I asked that question because I'm like my husband. I'm gonna tell you
to the best of my research.
Let me tell you. So let me tell you. If you have a flashlight, right?
Yes.
And you take that flashlight, you put it on the floor. How much of the light will you see? You're not going to see much of it. I mean, you'll be able to see that it's shining, but you won't be able to see much of that light. But as you lift that light further from the floor, the circumference of that flashlight, and it doesn't even matter if it's a square, triangle.
So you're bringing up his unintended side effect by accident. So yes,
want to shine on more of the further away from the sun it becomes, right? Are you agree with that, right?
I'm with you. So
my question is, how far away from the Earth is the sun? Because the further you pull this thing from us, it should shine on more of our Earth. So then the question becomes, if the sun is so far away, why isn't it lighting the entire flat planet? Because let's assume that, I don't know the math of it, but let's assume that at 1 million miles away, the sun should be able to light the entire planet of the Earth. But as it moves closer to us, now it's only
thank you.
That's a strong point.
You're proving a strong point. The local light.
How far is the sun from the Earth? That it's not.
Okay, let them answer that one.
How far away from the sun is the Earth that it? I'm not talking about heating it. I'm just talking about giving it physical light.
Why? And you're gonna have to answer: is the flat Earth rotating? Then you're gonna have to. There's a
as it goes further away.
Okay, right. The whole thing right there, you have this image in your mind of this vast sun that is so larger than Earth. What we're talking about is a local light. Just so
how
light.
Far is it? That's my question. How far is it?
To the best of my research, the firmament stretches at least 100,000 miles up. So if we're talking about further than that.
Okay, so that's fine.
But your point though about the flashlight was great. If you darken your house and you raise that flashlight off the floor a few inches, it's not bright in the corner of your room. It's just bright where that local light is. And if you rotate that light, parts of the floor are dark, parts of the floor have light. It's not lighting up the entire room until you raise it so far and that brightness maintains itself. Our Earth, the flat Earth model says and the scripture said we have a local light. I'm not a Christian, by the way. I keep saying scripture. I read, I study. We have
I'm with you. We're on the same page. We're on the same page.
Yeah. So when you say how far away, that's a great question. When you use that flashlight, it's a great example because that's what we have, a flashlight up against our floor. We don't have a light so far away that it's lighting everything that we own and everything that we can see. It's just lighting what's right up against us in that moment.
That would fundamentally change your argument, though. It would change the equator, though. The equator would come to North America.
No.
So think about flatness.
Facts.
And since there's no curvature, because there's no way that flat earthers are thinking the sun is not round, because I hear it in your argument, you receive the sun is round, and you can see the sun is round, or at least the illusion of round. That would change the equator being an independent source, which I agree with. That's a fact that everything's tropical on the equator, natural deserts and rainforests. Africa is a great example. Africa has all the media. Indoctrination would love to tell you that Africa is only desert. You get what I'm saying? But Africa has all four: coldest winters, the deserts, the hottest deserts, the plushest rainforests, and just the most tropical places on the planet. And that's a fact. Okay, and that's a fact. Africa's all the continents can fit inside of Africa.
Right.
But think about this from human experience. If a local heat, now 100,000 miles may be too far, because in modern science, the 62 miles is how you get out of our stratosphere and go into space. That's a lot of miles. That would be one hell of a local.
Thank you.
So then now again, you got to say cubed again. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be stop being flat and be really, really big cube. I feel you. But when you think about this flash, then it wouldn't be just isolated on this. See, the sphere, the equator, is unintendedly saying that it's a sphere because the curvature of the Earth only happens in that particular latitude. It's a big latitude. It's a huge latitude from the North Atlantic current to all. It's a huge latitude, and we know this. We know water drains a different way south of the equator. We know cyclones, is what they would call hurricanes, go a different way. So we have documented evidence. But if the Earth was flat, then that big roundness wouldn't be isolated to an equator. The equator would essentially be all of Central and North America, because there's a flatness. You get what I'm saying? Now, I'm not telling you I'm right. I'm just telling you that's human experience.
Right.
Go ahead.
What you're doing. Okay. We need a projector and a screen. So this is why teachers have whiteboards and stuff. So
That's fair. That's fair.
Get down with it. I'm gonna use a record player. Okay. Now in the flat Earth model, it's not the Earth that's spinning. We're gonna say, our record is our Earth, right? That needle plays a track.
So it's a round flat.
We're on a round,
or at least in this illusion, it's a round flat.
Like a disc.
A disc. It would be okay. Gotcha.
When you spin that record, the needle goes from outside to inside. Now, when you go back, it's the same direction. If you were to put it in reverse, it'd be the same thing going in reverse. Okay. Now, the needle being the sun, of course, the sun is what's spinning the Earth is still in the flat Earth model. You're still going to get the majority of the needle is going to be in the middle, because it's halfway from the beginning and halfway from the end. So you got to cross that half coming back. So the point gets the majority of your sunlight in either globe or flat Earth model. The majority of the sunlight is going to have a tropical area around it. It's not saying it's the only thing that's heating our Earth, but it's not the only thing heating our Earth. So you still get sun and you still get cold.
I definitely heard you. I never thought about that before, but you are correct. The core of the Earth. I could prove to you the sun is not the only thing heating our Earth during the dinosaur extinction.
In the most is going to receive the most heat. That's still our equator. That's still the same equator. The flat Earth and the globe model both have equators, and that's fair. It's contingent upon the sun's movement, not the distance. It's the sun's movement that's determining the equator.
But let me ask you this question from the chat. Let me ask you a question from the chat real quick, okay? In the flat Earth model, the sun is moving over the disk. The equator is warmer because the middle of the disk. Then how does night happen on the equator?
How does night happen on the equator?
Oh, that is a fantastic question. That's a fantastic question.
Night is everywhere the sun isn't. Your sun
right, but that person is arguing on the equator. On a flat Earth, the sun should never leave the equator.
Okay, so, all right, let me get this right. Okay, we're here. The sun is spiraling this way. It's
If the
making
sun
a
is back in the middle of the earth like that, it's gonna light the entire planet.
if it's as big as you think it is, think smaller, think smaller, think smaller. That's all of the sun is smaller. It's in reverse.
Earth.
So your sun, it doesn't go from east to west like in a straight line.
Facts.
It's
But you believe the sun
spiraling.
is bigger than the earth then?
No, the sun is
Oh,
local.
this is
Right.
this is
And we're
this is
spiraling.
okay.
That little
Got
light
you.
is
All right,
spiraling
all right.
above us.
Okay.
As it hits that
Okay,
spiral,
like-
we're so small on the surface, we're seeing it come above us, and we're thinking it's rising and setting. It's making a circle. It's turning to the right the entire time. Been documented. You can put up 2 lines. As you watch the sunset, it'll curve towards the line to the right every time. It's making a
I
circle.
got you. So then what you just did, you just killed gravity too. Then
Gravity
you just
is
killed
dead.
gravity.
But that's not my
Gravity is
fault.
dead.
Gravity has never been
No,
proven.
you can't hold the argument that the sun is local
Yes.
and doesn't have a
Thank you.
gravitational pull unless you
Thank you.
also kill gravity.
Right. Gravity is
Yeah. I'm
gone.
actively
Gravity is gone.
listening. I'm completely with you.
And I
I'm following
appreciate
everything
that.
you're saying.
Appreciate
Okay, I got you.
As the sun spirals, in order to keep our 24-hour day, the sun is making a faster spiral in the winter and a slower spiral during the summer. And if you think about your own experiences, you witness this. The sun sets at 4:30 in the winter. It hangs around to 8 or 9 in the summertime. You're not thinking it's moving slower or fast. You're just enjoying the longer day, hating the shorter day. But that sun is reaching other places. It's spiraling outward. As it makes that spiral back in, we get our summer. It hangs more over the equator by default of going back and forth.
So my question is still being answered. I guess let me ask you this question then. In relationship to the flat earth, is the sun shining on from the center? So if the earth is a flat disc, right? Is the sun over the middle of the disc? Is it further off to the left of the disc? Is it further off to the right? Where is the sun in relationship to this disc?
So she's asking if the sun is center justified, like a Word document.
Right. Exactly.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Think of a coil, how it spirals outward and it gets smaller on the inside. The sun would start around the center and spiral outward. It's not staying in the center. If you look up to the middle of a snow globe, I remember Bobby was talking about last time, the North Star is our dead center, right? So if you look up towards the center, the sun will be spiraling out wider and wider and wider. We see it as going further and further south in the winter, further and further north in the summer.
So then my question again, still, I'm asking the same question. At the point where the sun is dead center on a flat earth, why isn't the entire earth experiencing daytime?
The same reason your whole floor isn't lit up. Your flashlight is too close to the bottom.
So, but okay, all right. So there's a lot of
wait. So as it spirals out, it goes further up.
It goes further.
Yeah,
up.
but you're accidentally so every action has an unintended, like every action has opposite equal reaction, and every statement has an unintended side effect. By accident, you're making the earth round, but a disc round though, flat round, like a disc round though. I'm keeping it flat still. Okay. But by accident, you're doing that because if the sun, which you admit is circular, does not shine over the whole surface, then it has to be discular round, flat though. You know what I'm saying? Because nighttime is on the other half of the hemisphere. We know. Well, you wouldn't call it a hemisphere. The other half of the earth, you would call it a half. You know what I'm saying? You would call it a half. The other half of the earth. I've got so now I can think now. I could think about a bunch of things. I got like 8 things that I can think of off the top of my head that I could have poked holes in, but I'm enjoying this conversation. You know what I'm saying? I'm enjoying this conversation because I'd rather learn from you than try to look like I'm smart. You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares about education; they care about transformations. I'm really trying to learn from what you're talking about. But you have 2 problems now that I have perceived from you and her conversation. Problem number 1, you mentioned it earlier, but time zones are a major problem for you right now that I'm sure you got it figured out, but it's a major hole in your current argument due to the fact that time zones are most certainly a spherical effect And in your current argument, you're making the sun spherical and you're making the earth
Just
pseudo spherical. That it's not, it's flat. So we can still say it's round. So we can give you that credit, but it doesn't justify time zone. It doesn't justify seeing Mars, stars, or whatever. Now, here's the deal. Before we move forward, let me just tell you, I'm weird too, but I'm one of them weird nerds. I actually think flat earthers should just jump to this earth is a simulation. I just think y'all should just move. Like y'all are in this weird step. Like, so you're like heaven, no heaven, hell, no hell, purgatory. And flat earth is like purgatory when you should just literally take the leap. This earth isn't real. We're in a computer simulation. There's more evidence for that. I would much rather flat earthers just go all the way and make the leap. No doubt, no real talk. No, there's 10 million and one more evidence that we're in a computer simulation than we are actually in existence, and most certainly Earth being round or Earth being flat. But let me just bring up a few things, and I promise to do them quickly. But you've said them all. I just haven't said anything, but you said them all.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna remove satellite imagery and space travel. I'm gonna remove that because that's all indoctrination. I'm respecting your argument. It's all indoctrination because I ain't got no satellite and I ain't got no rocket. So if I got anything from a satellite, it came from somebody who told me. And if I got anything from, a rocket, it came from somebody who told me. So I'll give you that.
Satellites are not in space. They are floating, but they're not in space. Go ahead.
But if they're floating, then that's another unintended side effect. That's gravity all over it. So how do you explain something? Let's stop right here real quick. How do you explain something floating? Because I believe you have the right to explain that right here.
Helium.
Okay, but that's another unintended side effect because we know, well, maybe we don't know. Maybe it's in Dr. Nature. But helium is a natural resource, unrenewable, that is running out. We have a helium shortage. This is why we don't have little pizza places doing the helium balloons anymore.
We have a helium shortage because all of these
you sure can't get none of that.
That's why we have a helium shortage.
It's a helium shortage because of what?
It was reported that our country was the number one consumer of helium. We're putting
no doubt
in the air, and we're using helium balloons to get them up there.
Fair enough, and but then that would affect a lot of things, though. Like a helium shortage would mess up your theory about the sun being local. It would mess up your theory about in that case, if you're correct, then satellites at some point will start to fall. Maybe not in our lifetime.
They do. They do. They fall all over the place, and they're connected to balloons when they fall.
Okay, fair enough. So the weather balloon. All right, I got you. Okay. So we'll. Okay. So.
Hey, I like this guy, man. He's saying that tough.
Well, I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm listening. And again, and I teach my people on time that if you can't respect the opposing viewpoints, then you just need to be quiet. Like I'm all about debate because I cut my teeth on it. I don't. Again, what is a debate? A debate is arguing over non-essentials but agreeing with the essentials. But we don't care about those essentials because we just want to kill you for these non-essentials. Oh, I'm not willing to. I don't have the indoctrination to where I have tribal thinking in which I want to kill you over some non-essentials. You get what I'm saying? So this is why I'm all for. But there's some holes that I would love for you to explain, and I respect the fact that you're not a scientist. I do. And I respect the fact that, to the best of your knowledge, so I'm not even trying to trap you. Right. But time zones is a definite issue. There's no doubt about it. On my side, time zones are their side effect of the sun illuminating different parts of the earth from different times, creating a pattern of the day. and night across the globe.
Correct.
So we get our international date line, that's UTC, right? All that stuff. We get our international date line, which marks the boundary between consecutive calendar days.
Like
Calendar in itself,
tomorrow, right.
okay, no doubt, is a direct result of the Earth's rotation and spherical shape, even the atomic clock, even your digital watch. The shape and the time zones, obviously it's not perfectly aligned, and neither do the planets going around in the perfect circle. It's more like an ellipsis. But according to you, you've been saying that the sun rotates, but the Earth does not, which makes sense according to your argument. It makes sense. You can't have a rotating sphere if it's not even a sphere at all. So that makes sense. I respect what you're saying. And then we got this Coriolis effect that hasn't been mentioned. Well, it's been mentioned, but it hasn't been mentioned by name, but it's been mentioned. So the Coriolis effect. Okay, there's no doubt that you are, because you clearly do this every day. You argue. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, argue in.
I'm somebody who did not believe, man. I did not believe at all. You know what I'm saying? And it took a lot to even get me to start questioning. So I'm thinking, like, what about all of these different little things that said, you know, the Earth is a globe, and like you said, a Coriolis effect, and snipers have to count for the bullet to drop, and you know, all of these little different things. I had to unpin on myself, like, wait a minute, man, what about this or what about that? And I would spend a day or two learning this and day or two. So I studied for months back in 2016. So you can say basically for the last almost 8 years now, I've been picking up information, going here and there and here and there about this conversation. So it's not just something
I respect that. I sure hope I could be on the next episode. I sure hope me and Eric could be on the next episode. I sure hope so, because there's no way we're gonna be like this is orgasmic to me. Like this, like
you can't convince intelligent people of anything. They have to convince themselves.
It's cognitive dissonance. The moment I disagree with you,
to provide enough information to make you agree with me. You
That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's a fact. Make you question yourself. That's it.
It's 100% fact. You can't tell a Trump supporter Trump ain't blank, and you can't tell an Obama supporter Obama ain't blank. You understand what I'm saying? You can't. You can't change anybody after the age of 8. Well, you can't bend a tree. Is what old folk in Texas say. Once that tree gets old enough, you ain't bending it. It just is what it is. You can put the little stilts up all you want to. That tree is going to be rigid the way it is, because you can't bend the tree. You can't change a person after 8 years old. It just is what it is. That person must change.
I don't plan to provide enough evidence for somebody to be like, you know what, you're right. But it's just the fact that at some point you're gonna see something in your daily life, and it's gonna make you start key back to something.
You making people go research. You making people go research. Yes, queen. Yes, queen. Yes, queen.
So, Aaron, you're an intelligent, as we can agree.
Oh, he's way intelligent. Not about that.
In your argument, is there anything that you argument is incorrect that would then change your thinking? That you would be like, that point of the Earth being wrong, it's not correct. So then maybe.
Good question.
Is there anything that you can say, you know what, if you prove that that's not right, then the rest of it is probably not right. So then change my thinking. Is there anything in your
curvature? I mean, for me that linchpin is curvature. If somebody could show this is what I hoped. I hope that we were being lied to about the size of the Earth, and that was it. Not that everything else was a lie. Just they told us it's smaller than what it really is, and then curvature wouldn't have to be visible or to the mathematic pinpoint that they give us. So if somebody could prove to me that I don't have a good understanding of curvature, or that this Earth is actually so vast that it's more than 4,901 miles, and we're actually 24 million, then okay, I can say, you know what, then we would never get.
Yeah, he said your calculation was off. He didn't say that.
Forget the calculation. I believe I can. I thought about the moment you first start talking. I thought about this. I didn't say anything because first off, you were talking. Secondly, I was just enthralled by everything you were saying, because you're saying it so freaking well. Right. So I'm just so excited. But I believe I can poke a hole in just about everything that's been said. But that's kind of the point of debates, right? It doesn't matter if I'm right. Just poke a hole, right? You know what I'm saying? Right. So, but let's talk about this curvature. But let's remove curvature just for a second. And let's talk about the Earth and the oceans, because this challenges curvature as you are saying it, and that all of us know it. Now we know more about space than we know about Earth. So excuse me,
Right.
about the sea, about the deep sea. So I have to say a few things because they absolutely challenge this idea that the Earth is 24,000 miles. Because while that's true, that's more Earth's crust. We're not really accounting for the seas because we're talking about square miles, not cubic. We really should be having a cubic mile conversation, not a square mile conversation. And let me explain. Land, and we can look at this. This is not indoctrination. Land means an underwater mass that has breached the Earth's surface. That's what land is. There's no doubt about it. It's if you and I'm in Texas, and if you dig far enough, you're gonna hit groundwater in a lot of parts of Texas. So this is not something this isn't something debatable because it's human observation. I try not to debate human observation unless you're talking human observation with somebody's philosophy that says some stupid stuff. We know that if Mount Everest is 5,280 feet, it's not. That's just 1 mile. Mount Everest is much higher than that, but I'm trying to keep everybody in the audience listening. Then we also know it's bigger than that. We're only counting from the breakage of the water on planet Earth. Right. Now, no, so that creates a problem in your curvature argument. And here's the deal. Don't think of this, and I know you're not, but I'm saying some extra things for the audience, not necessarily for you. But don't think of this as proving you wrong. Think of this as we all have social constructs, and every mathematical equation that we have mentioned has not taken account for the sea. It has not. It just has not. We haven't said a single thing about how deep the ocean is. Now that's either a cube or a sphere. We can debate on that however we desire. This is why I almost said it earlier when I said I just read it. I said cube. This is what I was thinking when I was talking. You know what I'm saying? Because the deep sea is so. We know this is real because volcanoes made Hawaii. So we don't get to argue about the fact that the sea is deep. We got camera footage, and I don't mean like camera footage of NASA. I mean, we got David Attenborough from England doing all sorts of documentaries on Netflix alone and Hulu, just to know. So we understand. So I'm from Galveston Island, Texas. It's below sea level. But is it really? Because it's not. Because the mere fact that it braced or broke through sea level, it's actually something like 20,000 miles deep. And that is kind of my point here of I'm not trying to break your idea of curvature, but I do want to introduce a difficult fact. As you wisely said, that you're not trying to prove us wrong, you're just trying to make us go research. Likewise, taking into account of the oceans and how deep things are. And that's curvature in itself. Now, whether it be cubic curvature, I'll stay out of that for this particular episode because we might be here for 10 hours. Or whether it be spherical curvature, either way, it's curvature. There's no doubt about it. We don't get to argue with that. But basically what our argument right now, when I bring up the sea is this times 3 or times 4? You get what I'm saying? Like, this is the argument because it's definitely more than times 2. It's definitely more than times 2. So Pythagorean theory, out the window. Now we're talking about how deep the earth is. And if the earth is deep, that immediately immediately puts a big damper on flat earth theory. It truly, I don't want to say it needs to change, but it needs to be, we need to account for cubic or triangular. And then you're really being Pythagorean theory right there, right? We need to account for something that goes below the Earth's surface. Round earthers are talking above the Earth's surface. Flat earthers are talking above the Earth's surface. But we are not accounting for the sea. And I'll stop in 10 seconds. And the reason we're not, because we don't know nothing about it. But there's no doubt about it that the Earth, something is forcing oxygen to put on us 13.5 square inches per second on our body. Weight, pounds per inch on our body. Whether that be gravity or some, whatever it is, something's doing it. And the more you go down in the water, that gets bigger. And that you're going to have a very difficult time proving how the earth has no curvature. But when you go down into the sea, you implode, not explode. From the inside out, you implode. And that, it would be my argument for curvature, because the sea and human experience, I haven't brought in none nerd, I haven't tried to at least, but from human experience, that's going to be pretty difficult. I'm not telling you can't do it. I'm sure you got an answer for it, but that's going to be pretty difficult and also entertaining for the audience. So I'm done now. But that, I believe that would be a good shot in the dark, you know what I'm saying, for curvature.
I'm not mad at that. So we were discussing the vastness of the seas, why we implode at the bottom, and we discussing things being below sea level on dry land.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And plus, the deeper you go, there's two more things out of there. The mere fact that you can go deeper, the mere fact you go deeper kind of ruins flat Earth. That ruins flat Earth. I'm sorry, excuse me. It doesn't ruin flat Earth. It just ruins what we've talked about in this hour and 52 minutes or whatever we've been. It doesn't ruin flat Earth. It doesn't ruin what everybody's saying. It doesn't ruin what you're saying. It just ruins that what we've all, because you haven't been able to. I got you, brother Henry. We haven't been able to discuss everything. So in fairness to you, and plus, the deeper we go, something not flat is making us implode. That's a fact. Like, we got to deal with that. It's something not flat changing the pressure on our bodies.
Yes.
And that's not flat. Okay. All right.
I add this in right quick because I mentioned, but I guess it's kind of like, because me and Aaron, that's my homie right there. That's my guy. So
he's a good dude. I can't wait to drink a beer with him or something.
So me and Aaron is like with me and my wife. If my wife tells me something and it's true, and then I don't hear it, but then Antonio say the same thing, I'm like, damn, that was deep, right? So check it out, right? Any husbands on here, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? So check it out. So I mentioned this before, but I didn't put it in such a mathematical way because I don't have the degree and all that. Y'all know me. I'm right? So here's the thing. Blood pressure, right? To what Antonio was saying, we know what happens. The first, in 911 gets called, first thing he's doing when they get on scene is checking for your vitals, right? They're checking for your blood pressure. But blood pressure is not indoctrination, right?
No, it's not.
Pressure, if we go
to bars. Here go the bars.
So if blood pressure is real,
yes,
then we feel a certain amount of pressure, right? But when we start talking about going into the ocean and the pressure increasing, pressure is increasing from the centrifugal force, right?
That's not flat. That's a hard problem.
That's causing the pressure to increase. The closer you get to the center of that pressure, the more of that force, the more the pressure increases. So we know that something is causing that pressure to increase. Now, here's my thing.
Gravity.
Okay.
I mentioned that something the minister is always teaching about.
Do a touchdown dance on this one.
Light has a physical reality, right? And this goes back to the sun. So like when you see like the little alien movies and all that, and the spaceships come out and they pull people up through light, it's because light has a physical reality. When light strikes something, it causes it to rotate, right? So here's what's missing from
it bends in water. It bends in water.
You said light. Wait, hold on. You said light causes something to rotate.
Light travels at 186,000 miles per second.
Kilometers.
Okay, kilometers.
Yeah, that should be kilometers. Hold on, let me look at it. You might convert it to miles. It should be kilometers. So hold on.
Anytime Henry,
you keep going. You keep going.
I gotta stand in there like, hold on.
Hold on, wait. Let me get this point out. If light causes things to rotate,
I've never.
No, it's miles. It's miles. I'm wrong. It's miles. Keep going.
I got that from the minister. That's good. We fact checked it.
Okay. Good. That's big fact check.
Look, if light causes things to rotate, and it does, right? Because here's the thing: the light bulb in your house, that's a weaker light, right? Whatever it is, the light of the sun or any major force causes rotation. This is the reason why when you start talking about quantum physics and the
wave theory, you're talking about wave theory and double slit theory right now.
Is rotating because of light striking the atom, right? So now when we get down to atoms rotating, how is an entire, you say 24,000 mile circumference, right? That's we all pretty much agree there, right? Light striking this entire thing, but it doesn't rotate. See, there's something that's not indoctrination. That's
free thinking. Free thinking.
It's free thinking. I never learned that light causes rotation.
If light is causing the atom to rotate,
it's 100% facts, life, because light exists as a particle and as a wave. That's 100% facts. What he's saying. So that's the foundation. That's not just foundation of quantum physics. That's how your CD player works.
Absolutely.
Like literally, that's how your credit card works at Walmart.
Yes.
That's how your credit card works. That's a quantum mechanical effect. Your credit card works. As a matter of fact, $27 trillion is in circulation in America right now. 98.5 of that is digital. That is a wave. We don't have that much cash. That's a wave format that's going through us. And if that ain't believable, Wi-Fi is at 8.0211 gigahertz. That's a wave formula. Your when you get into your car and turn on 97.9, that's a frequency modulation. All these are waves, and we don't get to disagree with the mathematical facts of
tell me how
light
the sunlight is causing rotation. Let me get to that part. Tell me how the sunlight is causing, because the reason I asked that question, because the globe model is resting on the Big Bang theory, which says that nothing was there and then there was an explosion, and that's where our sun comes from, and we're rotating because of gravity and that initial inertia of that explosion. So where does the sun, I'm with you on the sun has light rays. How does the sun itself cause things to rotate? So if I point some sunlight at something that's being still, it's going to start spinning?
Well, technically, he said light causes things to rotate.
Yeah.
So then you're making his argument that the sun is the source of all light, and that may not be.
I'm asking, like, so is there any way I can duplicate that experience in a closed setting? Can I make something rotate off putting some light on it?
Of course. Yeah, you can. Okay, I'm sorry. But you can, though. That's actually the argument against when you were saying flat. That's one of the arguments against what you were saying. A tornado is rotation in itself. And if you make some Kool-Aid, right? But see, but what happens if you make some Kool-Aid, you can create a tornado. So what happens is a tornado is hot and cold pressure. The air. What happens is the air is rolling flat. And the problem is that as it goes over the Rocky Mountains, in this case, it starts coming. I'm sorry, my bad. Air is rolling flat. No. That's 100% facts. You're right. I already know. You're right, though. You're right. You know, say hurricane the same way. But what happens? What kind of messes up flat Earth by accident? Now, this isn't me attacking what you're saying, but it rolls over. But what happens is high pressure coming from top down, and you're not arguing that this top down doesn't happen. You're just saying this top down happens on a disc and not a sphere, right? So I'm with you. But so a tornado is spinning sideways and then tips vertical due to spherical movement. So that's his argument. I'm not telling you that's the argument. I'm telling you that's Brother Henry's argument, that there are spherical things happening in nature on this flat Earth, and that's his argument, that light is causing spherical things. So in the same, like when he was in school, if this is to that and that is to this, in the same manner in which he said that light causes spherical things, so does wind coming from the Rocky Mountains down cause spherical things. So again, that's not, and while as poetical as what I just said sounds good, it doesn't prove you wrong at all, but it does give defense to what he's talking about.
I'm trying to find a point to which I can agree. So you're saying basically light being a physical thing, when the light hits something, it will cause it to move.
Fact.
That's a fact.
But keep in
Light
mind,
bends in
I'm not-
water.
I'm
That's a
not
fact.
necessarily- I can rock
It's
with
not
that,
like-
but I'm not buying that it's going to cause it to spin in a rotated manner.
so keep,
But you do believe it bends in water, though, right? You do believe it bends in water.
Light does bend in
And
water.
bends in any
Also
prism.
It does. Now,
Okay.
let's just think about the water so we can get back to the original question. Okay, so we're talking about sea level. We're talking about being underwater.
Yeah. That's going to be difficult to. Yeah, that's going to be difficult.
While your blood up, going down. Can you hold your breath with your blood sugar up?
what was the question? You can froze
Break
on
it
us.
up.
Hold on, got you cut out.
Y'all froze. I don't know the answer. If you hold your breath, will your blood pressure go up? The harder it becomes for you to breathe, the more your heart pounds, sending your blood pressure up. The further you go away from oxygen, the harder it is for you to breathe. On top of that, if you're going on being underneath the water, water has weight to it. The further you go underneath it, the heavier of substance is on top of you, imploding you, and you're losing oxygen as you get down further and further and further. So the simple.
Well, we already lost oxygen. Hold on. Right there, you were right. Hold on. You were right until you said we're losing oxygen because water in itself is oxygen. No matter how deep you get, it doesn't stop being H2O. No. This is a fact.
You can't breathe it.
Say it again.
Which is right. You can't breathe it. Which is
right. But we can't breathe. But we can't breathe it at 3 feet or 30,000 feet. Like what I'm saying. I agree with you every step of the way. But the deeper you go down, we don't get lesser of oxygen. We get more pressure.
Right.
We get more pressure. We're not talking about lesser of oxygen.
That substance is on top.
That's a fact.
You're putting more water on top of you the deeper you go.
That's a fact. Now, what's creating that more water pressure because it can't be flat? And I'm not talking that it's around. I'm not saying it's round.
The actual weight.
Right, but weight in a disc. The weight in a disc doesn't make sense. Like, think about this for a second. When you put we're going to take your let me say this very neatly. Weight in a bowl, spherical, makes sense. Weight in a disc does not. And I'm getting disc from you with the record player.
Right, you having issues with the container.
Well, I'm not having issue with at this moment. Your last part of we lose less oxygen, that argument is having issue with the container. I'm just floating in flow with the conversation and having the time of my life. This is all good. But as far as pressure goes, that can't be flat. I'm not telling you it's round. I'm saying that pressure is evidence of non-flatness. That is a fact. Like that. Well, fair enough. You could disagree, but just say this here.
The same thing. I'm gonna tell you why we're saying
the same thing.
Why we couldn't say the same things on disagree.
Okay.
The flat Earth model isn't again saying that the crust the surface of the Earth is pancake flat. What it's saying is that all that we live on, the terrain that we live on, the mountains, valleys, peaks, and lows, are based on a table, as if someone you talk about being in a simulation. If you went to a table in your science class and made a world, it's not going to be a ball that you create a ball. You put things on top of that table. It's going to be on top of a flat surface. So then you fill that flat surface with water. Your bottom of your ocean is still flat.
So you just created another problem by accident.
Go ahead.
You just created another problem by accident. That's aerodynamics.
I love these problems.
You just created another problem by accident. It's aerodynamics. So think about it this way. Let's keep your flatness and let's concede. I concede everything you said. And there's water and table. I got you. But planes shouldn't be able to fly according to what you just said. And allow me to explain. Aerodynamics is not planes defying gravity. Now we know flat earthers don't believe in gravity. You can't. You can't. But I want you to let's take your same table existence, and we take that same table. We put that same the same water. We put all the jagged mountains. We give you everything you said. Right. Planes in that model are not allowed to fly because planes flying means that there must be some pole that is moving the plane, not like a puppet, but like a with some gymnastic pose when they like a long pole. When when they do the little high jump, not the high jump, pole vault. So it's like a big pole vault is controlling that plane. That's what gravity does. And here's the deal: before we disagree, this is very important. Like, this is not something. Okay, so right here, this is not indoctrination. This is science. Like, we don't get to disagree with this part because you can't steer something without that pole vault. You can't steer it because gravity's to the definition of turn is to accelerate into a different direction. Therefore, to accelerate.
I was wondering where you was going with that.
Okay, then you get what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to prove gravity, but you just accidentally proved gravity in your flat table thing because we know we got planes. I've ride on plenty of those. You've written on those, so we know we got planes. Right. No doubt, you've written on. Yeah. I didn't mean like I'm balling or something. But you've written on those, right? So, well, that's a different story. There, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But on these planes, it kills that argument. And again, just not trying to prove you wrong. But this is the fun part about debate. So everybody here is going to go back and buckle up. You know what I'm saying? And go back for next time. Everybody's going to buckle up. I'm just saying, though, gravity, in this case, at least the explanation that we have is gravity is a pole vault. Because without gravity, all planes would just float off into the local, it's not space for you, it's the local something, right? The local something. But it would, though, right? It would float off into the ice cap. It would float off into the ice thingy that it would just crash without it. No, I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm just saying without gravity.
With all the evidence, you know what I'm saying? So it's not crash.
I'm very much so trying to. Yeah. I'm glad you see that. I'm very much trying to keep everything he said into, like, I'm only talking in what he said. I'm not trying to like disprove what he said. I'm trying to jive with what he said. But every time we get somewhere, both sides, every time we get somewhere outside, he pokes a hole in it. Every time we get somewhere on his side, we poke a hole in it. And I'm respecting that. But airplanes, no doubt, airplanes only turn because of that pole vault. Now, whether you want to call it gravity or not, but on that table you described when I was trying to describe pressure, you got rid of that pole vault. And now you have a whole aerodynamics problem that cannot be explained. I'm sure by tonight, when you sleep, you go, man, I should have said this. Because I'm going to do the same thing. I'm sure, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure by tonight, when you eat macaroni and cheese, whatever it is, you're going to get it. But right now, that's our current problem. Yeah. So that's it. That's
it. I see you chopping at the bit.
Pressure. You had asked.
Go ahead.
This is fun. I'm having a ton of fun.
Aaron had asked the question: when you breathe, does your blood pressure go up? Yes, it does. The point,
systolic, diastolic.
The point is not just because you can't breathe underwater, because if you have oxygen tanks, right? So people who go deep sea diving, they can only go so far, and that's because that pressure underwater, the gravity pulling. Right, their blood.
Something's causing that pressure that's not accounted for right now.
My point is that it's not because they can't breathe, because we know that people go underwater with oxygen tanks, but yet they still feel that same pressure. The barometric.
Right, that's scuba, self-containing underwater breathing apparatus. That's scuba.
Can breathe underwater or not. So it's not a matter of whether we can't breathe that we feel the pressure. It's because
oxygen weighted in millions of pounds of water on top of you.
Well, okay, but see, you accidentally did it again. If millions of pounds of water is on us, that I'm not saying it stops flat, but it can't be disc. It has to be cubic. And I'm okay with flat earthers saying cubic. I think that's like the first words I said.
I get you because it has to have dimensions. That's why I didn't use the word flat. I would just say
I feel you, and I don't mean to.
Right.
Yeah. I feel you.
I
feel you on that, and I don't mean to put that
interpret.
against you either, though.
Yep.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
But,
Nah, I get you.
no,
I get you.
The same bathtub effect still exists. If you fill this up with water, you still get the same problem, whether you're on a globe or whether you're on a flat surface at the bottom.
So then how do you, so Aaron, then how do you explain one of the smallest fish in the ocean being able to swim as deep as it can without feeling the same pressure of millions of pounds? Because ultimately, I don't know how deep a goldfish can swim, right? But I know that
no vertebrae, there's all sorts of stuff there.
I don't know how big movie Dory. I don't know how big Dory is, but Dory's a pretty small fish, smaller than me. Dory can swim in water and not feel millions of pounds of weight on her small little body that we feel. That don't make sense. As a flat small fish, right?
I can answer
that. Yeah. In this case, that doesn't prove flat Earth wrong. That would actually, because no vertebrae would help there. Right. Being cold, being cold temperature, not being mammals. Yeah. So in his case,
are built to, things at the bottom of the ocean in their habitat are built for that type of condition.
Yeah. Just now she had a strong point in there, though. She had a strong point in there.
That doesn't matter, though. Let me say this. That doesn't matter, because if you're talking about the side, you're saying that I can't handle the pressure as a human being, being so many pounds.
I'm saying the pressure is coming from the weight of the water and your lack of oxygen.
There could be nothing pressurized on something flat, y'all. We have to agree with this. At some point, we have to agree that plateaus don't have pressure. We have to agree with this. We have to agree.
You're not allowing it to be that way. You're trying to change it towards what you already have seen or what you've been told about the globe. You're trying to mesh the two.
No, I'm not.
That's why you're saying it has to be like this if it's like that. It doesn't. We have to have big.
Okay. No. He's talking to me in this case. No. Yeah, fair enough. Let me change the words has to be.
Like, I didn't want it to be like this. You know what I'm
saying? No. Fair enough. Yeah. So let me change the words have to be to human experience, because you opened this up on your own,
and I'm willing to run with it.
Upon the highest mountain,
I told you it was a rabbit hole.
Upon the highest mountain, there's a lack of oxygen. Something happens, whatever that may be. Mm-hmm. Upon the lowest mountain under sea, there's an abundance of pressure. It's not a lack of oxygen, because it's still for every hydrogen, two oxygens.
In the water,
All right. So there's an abundance of pressure. But in Texas, none of those things exist. So now I'm not saying have to be. Right. Okay, all right. So now I'm not saying have to be. I'm saying the Great Plains are the Great Plains for a reason. I'm saying that systolic going up and dystolic going down are for a reason, but flat line is no pressure. That's you're dead.
Flat line, exactly.
Okay, you're dead. Yep. So we have to agree somewhere that up proves your argument right, down put some serious kinks in your argument, but flat or horizontal, we won't say flat, but horizontal does not. It doesn't help your argument. It doesn't hurt it, but there's something about being flat that does not help your argument. Your argument is greatly helped going up. Your argument is greatly helped in motion. But just sitting on the plateau, there is no, and I'm not talking about the flat earth. That's what I'm talking about. But we have to agree that being in the middle, whatever middle may be in this argument that we're making, is something that can go. The reason it doesn't help, not because you're wrong, because it helps round and it helps flat. So it doesn't help. If it helps both sides, it doesn't help either side. My grandmother said a friend of everybody is a friend of none. So if the Great Plains helped, you know what I'm saying, if it helped the round and it helped the earth, we got to throw that out, because we're here to find the truth and we can't find something that helps both sides. That's all I'm saying. I didn't mean have to as an indoctrination, but I do respect what you're saying, and I appreciate you keeping me humble about that, because and that's a fact. And I hope the audience is listening to that. If you're going to, it's like I don't know, it's like debating the Bible. You'd be like, oh no, the Bible has to say this. Well, where it's at then? That's what he's doing. Where it's at. Like, show me where it is. You know, and I completely respect it. I completely respect that.
In touching the sea level point, how you can be below sea level in Texas or in Louisiana and still be on dry land. You talked about
that's facts.
What land, the definition of land is basically an accumulation of sand, dirt, soil arising from the bottom of the ocean.
It's a mountain. It's an underwater mountain that broke the ocean.
Now,
there's no doubt about it.
So we're gonna get back visual again. I wish I had something I could show you. If you put, let's just say you put some aluminum foil. You get a bathtub, you cover the top of the surface with some aluminum foil. Aluminum foil is gonna be our land, right? If you dip some holes in that aluminum foil, the water is not guaranteed to poke through. Those spots on land are below sea level, but the water has to be able to get to that in order to be able to drown you. That's why you say if you start digging, you're gonna hit some water because that's where it's at. You're below sea level.
Okay.
But
I see your argument.
Land.
What's stopping the water from getting to the aluminum? Help me out there. I'm trying to follow you.
In real life, the shore.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, all right. So you're saying the Earth's mantle, the crust is. I got you. Okay, gotcha.
Is it Galveston?
Gotcha. Oh yeah.
Around about Houston, it's stopping the water from coming all the way inland.
No doubt.
But
no doubt.
You all are susceptible to more flooding. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
And everything else. You know what I'm saying? Because you are below surface already. You know what I mean?
Well, because we're in a bowl. That's what I was arguing. Right, we're in a bowl.
You're in a bowl,
right? And that bowl doesn't help flatness, right? But keep going though.
But okay, so I've already concluded that we have valleys. And
I'm with you. I'm with you.
On the surface, so you're in a valley, so to speak. You're in a valley, and your valley is so deep.
A valley is a bowl. Yeah. A valley is a bowl. A valley is the like at the lowest part of a mountain is the highest part of the valley. That proves it's a bowl, right? Okay, keep going.
There you go. Yep. So that's sea level. You know what I'm saying? There are parts of the country that's below sea level, but they aren't drowning. You know what I'm saying? So
facts.
It's just the fact that there's a good video I had shared in this chat that kind of gives a perfect explanation. It's animated of what the flat Earth model does. It kind of explains how the sun and the moon rotate. I'm gonna send it to you, and we can have a deeper conversation.
Oh, please send it. Please send it. I'm having fun.
But yeah, what it boils down to is like we all have our own ideas of what this Earth should feel like and look like, and then when we start taking into account that information has been falsified, we lose track of what it actually is. We try to grasp, well, it has to be like this or it should be like that because I was told. When you look at your actual experiences, when you look at the sun, the moon, how they move, the Earth has never shook, you know what I'm saying, as far as besides the earthquake, you know what I'm saying? They tell us that we're moving at 186,000 miles. The sun is rotating so fast. And we're orbiting the sun while traveling with the sun. If any one of those, if we hit a gas pocket, everything is going to fling towards either the sky or the ground at 1,000 miles an hour.
Well, but that's why gravity would come in that equation because we're being pulled to the sun. That's why that would
pertaining
stop
to gravity.
What you say, gas pocket, no doubt.
And
that's the round side. I'm not saying that's the flat side. That's the round side.
Gravity says that we have acclimated to our movements, and that's why we don't feel them.
Well, you know what? Now we can prove that though. Like as an infant, none of us could hold up our necks. And that's us not being able to handle the 13.5 pressures of square inch pressures on our body. But when you get drunk and your equilibrium goes off, and this is human experience. When you get drunk and the room starts spinning, you're now in tune with that 186,000 miles per second going across. That's not an illusion. That's your equilibrium being off, and you're now susceptible to the rotation of the Earth the same way you were as a baby. That's what that is.
That's a slippery slope to claim, man, because you need a drunk person to prove it. And what if two drunk people land in a room spinning opposite directions?
Oh, well, I've been drunk many a time, so but I feel you, though. I feel you. I feel you.
I'm going to call it a scientific experiment. I'm trying to figure out what the Earth is rotating.
You should. You should, though.
If they ain't rotating LA towards New York, something wrong, man. Something wrong.
You said because we got to jump out of here. We're supposed to be at an event like an hour ago.
Look,
this is good.
Here's the thing about light.
Yeah, we all late.
Still haven't dropped this point.
I got to see LeBron win tonight.
So think about this, right? You said we're talking about being acclimated. But the human body is made up of trillions of atoms.
That's fact.
All of those atoms are rotating as we speak.
That's also
Even
fact.
though we don't see not a rotation in a single atom, right? We can't, if I put my hand, If I put my hand in front of the camera, you can't see the holes in my hand, even though they're there, right? But under the right microscope, because the atoms are spinning and they're close knit, but it appears solid to us, what we visually see, but it's not, right? But the atoms are rotating indeed. And if I die right now, it doesn't stop the atoms from rotating. The energy may transfer to a new energy force, but the atoms that were rotating are still rotating. So I'm trying to make this point about light. If the earth is any shape other than, if the earth is any shape other than a sphere, you cannot give the properties of light. Either the properties of light exist and they do, and they're real, and we actually are experiencing
they do, and they are real. There's no doubt about it.
Or the earth has a different shape, but you can't have those two things cancel each other. That light in and of itself is proof that the world, the planet is rotating, right? It's proof that the planet is rotating. And if the planet is rotating, it puts a damper on some of the things that are said about the flat earth, right? So
to prove your point, light doesn't just prove the earth is rotating. Flat earther could never say this, but it proves that the universe is ever expanding.
Exactly. So
it's supposed to be. According to the Big Bang Theory, everything is ever expanding. Supposed to be.
So
flat earthers can't believe in Big Bang though. It would be. I don't see how you could, but maybe you could.
I don't believe in it either.
Well, okay, fair enough. Keep going.
So here's the thing. So here's what I'm trying to get to is just dealing with light in its property prove that the planet is spherical, because light on a flat surface only, or firmament, because here's the reality. If you're saying this firmament, like you all believe this firmament exists, the firmament itself should be rotating, because just because we don't see a glacier and be like, man, look at the atoms that are rotating. It looks frozen. It's solid. It's stiff. But the atoms are still rotating. And so we can't get away from, at an atomic level, everything
it's rotating slower. That's why they're frozen.
Is rotating. There's nothing that's not rotating. But you're saying that we live on the one thing in the universe that is not rotating. And that is the fallacy of a universal idea and concept that there's a flat earth. Everything
that was good. That was good.
That's some bars that we talking
that was good. That
none
was
of
good.
what he said I said that I actually said. It sounded good when he got done saying it. That's the bars.
Look at my
I didn't say that shit. But it came off like a diss track and he just burnt me, huh? You know what
yeah. That was some Tupac. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no.
I know they got to get out of here. This has been a great conversation. Now do you guys
need to give my man 2 more people though. You need to give him 2 more people because we triple teamed him though. You need to bring him 2 more people.
But Eric can hold his own. Eric can hold his own. Eric can hold his own. Hey, I don't know. Hey, my man said he's gonna be here. He's not here. You know what I'm saying?
My phone right here. I ain't called nobody. I ain't here
nobody. So you gotta know this all.
But do you got because I know they gotta get out of here. Antonio and Aaron, do you have a time to answer one question from the audience?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I've been trying to catch FanDuel before 7:30. I ain't going nowhere, man.
It's on the screen right now.
Yeah, she said, could someone please explain the 60+ days the sun does not rise in certain parts of Alaska? Off topic, but I've always been curious. Thank you for your question.
Yes, the sun, Alaska is basically West Canada, which is far north and west of us. When the sun rotates, once it gets to the winter months, it's going to be too far in its southern rotation to give Alaska daylight. It's a proof of a local light as our sun. Our sun is rotating. It's too small to give northern things daylight when it's in its winter rotation.
But it's not giving night light though. It's not giving like there's 3 months out of Alaska with it, and the sun never sets. Like ain't nobody creeping. Ain't nobody creeping. Like, everybody faithful.
That's the exact opposite. That's in the summertime. When the sun is making its short rotation, it's not going far enough away from Alaska to give it darkness. When I send you that model, you will see it explains all of that. The sun rotation explains all of that.
You can see we've been driving the whole time. I ain't, you know what I'm saying?
Earth that same time.
Hey,
if Alaska
HyphenX, tell her she was cut off. I can't tell. You got to tell her.
I'm sorry. So then, why isn't there an equal and opposite reaction to that? Somewhere on the other side of the earth doesn't get light while Alaska keeps getting it for 3 months. Why doesn't that exist? Where on earth does it not get when Alaska doesn't have light for 3 months?
Why should he need to square up where though? Like where
does not have light
in the southern
hemisphere? That's fair though.
Where? Give me. We said Alaska. Give me a country. Give me a country.
That's fair.
I'm gonna help you out. Give me a continent on Earth that does not get light for 3 months, while Alaska is experiencing light for 3 months, according to your model. Where on the Earth?
First of all, it's not my model, it's Earth model. While Alaska is having its light phenomenon, Australia also experiences a similar.
Let them answer.
But not equal because they're not equal distances away from the sun. But Australia, being so far south, does experience a similar phenomenon. Something like when we get.
Listen to me. We're talking about math. I'm asking you.
That's fair. She's asking a fair question.
On Earth that is not experiencing light because Alaska is taking up all of it, according to your model. Alaska has all of this light because of where the sun is at. So
that's
where on Earth?
That's tough.
Distance away from Alaska.
I'm glad she asked you.
Because in the flat Earth model, the sun would be the one that's rotating.
Alaska experiences the opposite phenomenon. Australia.
So here's my question. Let's assume that Alaska and Florida are the same distance apart. I don't know if they are, but somewhere on our planet,
that's exactly what I'm telling you.
Somewhere that's the same distance from the sun as it is.
Australia is about as close as you're going to get to an equal opposite.
Where
and they have similar light phenomenon.
But she's arguing it shouldn't be as close as she's saying every action has opposite equal reaction. And you've been dropping math and science the whole time, and so there has to be
right. So for every action to have an equal and opposite reaction, you need to place some landmass exactly the opposite of where Alaska is. So we're talking about the Earth. Right, but there's a landmass all over the ocean. There ain't a landmass that's exactly to match Alaska for your question. The only thing that's close is Australia, and it's experiencing similar phenomenon.
That same size. We're not talking about size of Alaska. I'm talking about geography.
That's what I'm saying. How can I put a piece of land where you want it to be for your question?
Well, so then there should be a piece of ocean.
There should be a piece of
ocean. That's what she's saying.
So what I'm saying is the closest piece of land,
he just said that
opposite to Alaska is Australia, and it experiences the opposite phenomenon.
So to my knowledge, Australia experiences no prolonged darkness. Antarctica does. Australia
gets our opposite weather. They get summer. They get the light that we don't get. Exact same thing she's talking about. They get the light while we're not getting it.
She's talking in this case. She's talking about the absence of light, because what she's talking. I'm with you. I'm with you. But she's saying.
I'm saying it's
that since
Australia and Alaska are like. I need that.
What she's saying is fair. Since the sun is round, in which you have agreed.
For those who are online.
Go ahead. Australia doesn't have any prolonged darkness.
Exactly.
Antarctica does from winter solstice. Antarctica certainly has 3 days of prolonged darkness. So it's winter solstice. That's kind of the definition of winter solstice.
Okay.
Yeah, no doubt. So
now, if you look at the map for the flat Earth, which is called the azimuthal equidistant map, it's not a map somebody made up or just put together. It's an actual map. You can look it up. If you look up the proximity for Alaska and Australia, that's as close as you're going to get, or Australia is the closest you're going to get to an opposite of Alaska. Australia is getting sunlight while Alaska isn't. It's not the equal opposite because it's not in a position to be that equal opposite. But the fact that the sun is spiraling
You're breaking up, brother. You're breaking up.
Okay. The fact that the sun is spiraling outward is evidenced by the fact that it shows up in the southern hemisphere while it's not in the northern hemisphere. And When it gets to summer months, you get a concentration of sun because it's making a tighter circle. In the winter months, you get a lack of sun because it's making a wider circle, except for Australia being positioned in a place to be able to catch the majority of that sun and just making a wider circle. So they get summer while we get winter.
So you're still not answering my question, brother. And maybe I'm not asking. So let's assume that there's 2 points on Earth. One is Alaska, one is point B. Alaska's point A, I like that. And the other one is point B.
Right.
If the sun rotates in the manner in which you say it is, at a certain point, the sun is on point B. And Alaska is complete darkness for 3 months, right? You with me?
It also has complete light. Alaska has both. Complete light for about 3 months and complete darkness.
Yes.
Question though. Alaska is experiencing complete darkness. Now my question is,
somewhere else should be doing that. Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We agree. We're saying the same thing.
Let me ask my question, brother. The sun rotates. It's hitting point A, being Alaska. Why is it that point B is not experiencing the same lack of light that Alaska was?
That's a fair question.
My question.
That's a fair question.
And I'm asking you,
I'm saying
where on Earth does that happen? It doesn't matter if it's a landmass. Where can we go on Earth that when we travel on water, no light? Because Alaska has all of it. Where is
the opposite?
That is the equal and opposite that is experiencing complete darkness, because it's exactly opposite of Alaska to the sun. That is my question.
Okay. The answer to that question is if you check out the map and pick a point, it's going to experience that opposite.
So,
but not the 60.
An example. I can tell you why.
Yeah. No, there's no like I'm on your side, Aaron, but there is no darkness or lightness equivalent to what Alaska experiences. It doesn't happen anywhere on Earth. Only Alaska.
Only Alaska.
Well, but that kills almost everything you've said thus far, because you've said that the sun is a local body.
Right.
And
he's using math.
If the sun was so large that if the sun was so large that it was lighting up half the Earth at one time, why is Alaska missing light for so many months? And we're rotating and spinning and orbiting, so everywhere on Earth should be getting sun according to y'all model. I'm telling you, it's a local light that is not bright enough to light the entire Earth, and it only lights portions of the Earth at a time. And you're asking me, why doesn't this part get light? Because it's a local light that only lights up a portion of the Earth at a time.
Understood. But what she's saying is there should be an opposite reaction, though.
You know what I'm saying? Let me look on the map.
Yeah. She's saying there should be. No, I got you. Look at the map, but there's no but there should be an opposite reaction to that, though. According to
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a question about that. So
that was the toughest question asked so far. She asked the toughest question so far.
So if the sun is a local light and it stayed in Alaska, then how does other places on Earth get the light in a flat Earth
exactly
model?
What she's asking.
I'm not saying
that's exactly what she's asking.
The sun is rotating, and Alaska is so far north that it's catching light throughout the entire rotation. So when it rotates,
because it's so far out.
Yeah, but that
so far north. Yes, it's so far north.
North, okay.
But that hurts. That her question hurts his argument significantly. I'm not saying that the Earth is not flat. Well, I am saying the Earth is not flat. Earth is not flat, but that's not what I'm saying in this moment. Now, I get what you're saying, but now, of course, he's showing something on the screen. You're saying that's the entire. So that's all 7 continents,
right?
Yeah.
Alaska's
all of them except
Alaska's in the middle almost. South America's over. It's opposite on my phone, my finger. So South America. So Alaska's in the middle almost. That's why Alaska is experiencing the phenomenon that it does. It's right under almost everything.
But that entire map was that entire map was trash.
Winter up north,
right?
Alaska's missing sunlight.
That map messes up your
that entire map is indoctrination.
Alaska's in the middle.
Yeah, that entire map was inaccurate.
How is it possible for Alaska to miss the light if it's in the middle? That
because
defeats your whole
it's a local light, and the light is on the outside. It doesn't miss light consistently 100%.
No, I
10 of the
agree
time.
with you.
So right now,
Light is low
winter
around the entire
solstice
circle.
and
Not
summer
dinner time.
solstice. Yeah, right now, winter summers and solstice summers.
Right.
So summer solstice is being argued right now by her, which is most certainly being supporting round Earth and not flat Earth. It's
not at
like,
all. Not at all.
Unfortunately, like right now, just not, next week we'll have a better answer. But for right now, there is no way that your local sunlight stands, because if it does, it should have an opposite reaction, because we have night. Like you're arguing that we have this local body sun, but then we have the opposite of that, which is night. But then when it comes to her question, where is the night on somewhere else, it fades away, and you can't, like, if something's going to be a fact. No,
I feel like that's the imagery that's happening, that's causing the disconnect. Because I'm answering it specifically. The sun is spiraling above us. In one spot you have light, in the opposite spot you don't. So in Alaska is a spot where you do have light. Alaska is positioned at a point to catch the majority of the sunlight during our summer months. So when that Alaska hits that point to where there is no sunlight, that's during the winter months. The sun is making a spiral that's so wide, Alaska isn't getting any light.
But it's not catching the majority of the sunlight in the winter months. It's catching here's the problem. It's not catching the majority of the sunlight in the middle of the summer months, because it would have palm trees if that was happening. It's catching.
Alaska does have a point. Alaska has a point in the summer where there is no light. Where there's no darkness. I'm sorry, where there's no night at all. It's just consistent sunlight.
No doubt, but that's not sunlight it's catching. Right. But that's not sunlight it's catching. It's the effect of the sun, but it's not sunlight it's catching. Or Alaska would be tropical, and they would have water parks in Alaska.
So there's not light that's rotating close enough.
No, Alaska I'm with you on that. It is definitely catching the light, but Alaska cannot be catching most of the sunlight during the summer. That's what everything in the tropical areas are doing, catching the most of the sunlight. Just because the sun doesn't set in Alaska does not mean it's not catching the sunlight. It's catching the spherical evidence of the earth being round. Now, I'm not trying to argue against you with that, but that what I'm trying to tell you is there is the hole in your, that's the support. That's what she, listen, if but no, I feel you. And I'm definitely trying to be fair, but hear me out on this. You cannot say Alaska is catching the bulk of the sunlight, because the sun does not go down for 67 days. It's not catching the bulk of the sunlight. It's catching the bulk of the curvature. So that's what's happening, because the bulk of the sunlight is palm trees and seagulls and wildlife that support. Alaska would not have ice if it was catching the bulk of the sunlight. I'm not under any circumstances trying to tell you that you're wrong, but I am absolutely saying that nobody here, none of these squares get to say that Alaska is catching sunlight because the sun don't go down. Okay, that's a different phenomenon.
Alaska,
that's a curvature problem.
No, Alaska is not the only place on Earth where that happens at. There's video.
Well, that's what she was asking you. She was asking you where's the opposite.
That's actually a phenomenon in all the parts of the country that's in that area. In all the parts of the world that's in that area, they have the same exact phenomenon.
We know there's no geological evidence that somewhere it's sitting while Alaska is in sun. There's 67 days of darkness somewhere else. We know that's not happening. That's not indoctrination.
We do know that the sun moves in a circle above us. There's video recordings of the sun not setting in these areas we're talking about. All it's doing is curving to the right at the edge of your eyesight.
So we don't know the sun. We don't know the sun is moving in a circle above us. That's a flat Earth thing. A round Earth thing is the Earth moves around the sun.
It's a thing that's been captured on video before. People take pictures of the sun. They take video of the sun. You have a
No
24-hour
doubt,
video. The
but
sun does not set.
well, yeah, but if you do that, then I could bring back in the curvature of the Earth again, because the sun sets. The sun should not be setting on a flat Earth. So if you take that argument,
it's moving away from us. It's just moving.
So,
away
but as long as you understand that, I get what you're saying, and I'm definitely respecting what you're saying. I'm just saying that there is no evidence that the sun is moving around in a circle of motion. There's no evidence for that. I'm not telling you that's the flat Earth evidence, and I'm not telling you there's evidence against it either. But just listen, just because I say
cameras, if somebody records it, then that's what's being recorded.
But Aaron,
but just intellectually hear me say, just because I say there's no evidence for, I'm not saying there's evidence against either. I'm just saying that that's based on a huge assumption. So when you make an argument, you can't put an assumption in it. And the assumption is that the sun is moving in a circle. That's an assumption. That is not a fact. And I'm not telling you the sun is not moving, because that would be an assumption on my part too.
Just like you asked me earlier.
Hold on.
Just like you asked me earlier.
He ain't got something
to agree. If you could watch the sun, what would it take for you to think that it was actually moving in a circle to the right? What would it take for you to believe that? Like y'all
see, that's another assumption, though. So okay, so let me tell you why this is another assumption. No. Before you reject, no. I'm answering your question. That question is based on a major assumption that the right exists. Let me. I'm trying to explain something to y'all. Right does not exist. No. Okay, so I'll just say it anyway. That question is based on the assumption that the direction of right exists. To right, there are tribes all over the world that there's no such thing as up, down, left, or right, because right assumes you can't say that either. But let me tell you, no. Okay, at least let me finish, because I've definitely let you finish.
I'm listening.
What I'm saying is, to say to the right is to say I'm the center of the universe. It's to the right of me. That's why we don't know. When you're traveling, when we're using GPS, we don't say right. We say north, south, east, west. When we're sending the rocket to the moon. So based on your assumption that the Earth is moving to the right, you can't say that either. The sun is moving to the right.
In a clockwise motion. If you look to the west, it will bend to the right.
Wait. Let me say this also, though, real quick. Because there's a thing called a double standard, right? The double standard is this. You can't say that you recorded video footage to prove your point when we have thousands of pictures from satellites of the Earth with its curvature, and then say that those pictures don't count, because if video footage works in your behalf, it also has to work on our behalf. If you saying that we can't use evidence of photos of the Earth being taken,
but you can use evidence.
You can't use evidence of recording the sun. Quiet. Of recording the sun. You can't use evidence of recording the sun to say that we have video evidence. If it's not in play for us, it can't be in play for you. If it is in play for you to prove your point.
I get that hint, and you're exactly correct. That's why we was 2 hours and 30-something minutes in before I even mentioned the video. What happened was
you can't mention it at all, though. No pictures.
No doubt. I'm with all that. I'm just saying that assumptions. If you're going to make an argument, it must be void of assumptions. Unless you're going to tell me that I have this bias. Here's my assumption.
Okay, we're making an argument void of assumptions. Why do you assume that there's somewhere opposite of Alaska to prove my point wrong?
I'm not. That's not an assumption. That's not an assumption. That's not an assumption. That is Newton's 3 laws of motion.
Land is here.
That's not an assumption. That's Newton's 3 laws of motion that have been proven without fail. If you punch the wall, no. Yes, we are. That's what when she said.
We're talking about rotation. We have to be talking about motion.
So it's motion. If you're saying the sun is in rotation, you're saying the sun is in motion. And therefore, since the sun is in motion, So that's right. That's the
Let's keep it in
third law of
context.
motion.
Equal and opposite
You're the
reaction.
one who said the sun is in motion. So when
Equal and
you
opposite
introduce the
reaction
sun being
refers
in
to
motion,
objects that are going up against each other. If I hit you,
no,
this way,
that's not. No. But no. Motion. Period. It's not. It has. It doesn't make any distinction if objects is going up against each other because all objects on this planet are in harmony with one another. It doesn't say they're going against each other.
The equal and opposite reaction comes
Right.
from the
That
transfer
means
energy, right?
no, that's thermodynamics now. You are right when you talk about transfer energy, but you're now you so three laws of motion and three laws of thermodynamics work together, no different than aerodynamics work together. When you bring in transfer of heat, energy, or anything like that, that's thermodynamics. Those are not the same thing.
Point is where that equal and opposite
because you brought it up. What she did,
she brought it up in relation to Alaska. If she says, if this, then where? That's what I'm saying.
Because that's the Newton's third law of motion. No, the burden of proof, according to her question, the burden of proof is now on you because what she did was take something completely infallible.
Correct.
No,
it's like when
we
I
can't say
incorrect assumption.
No. I said incorrect assumption because you said to the right, and right is an assumption. And I said another by assumption. I forget what you said before that, which was an assumption. Newton's third law of motion is not an assumption. If you punch the wall will also punch you. And if you don't punch the wall with enough force,
objects in contact with each other.
Okay. That's understood, but you can't say that the sun is not in contact, whether it be a local body or not. As soon as you say it's local, it's in contact with the flat Earth.
In her explanation, she's saying, where in the world is there an equal opposite to Alaska? That's what I'm saying. There does not.
And you must now respect the fact that is a valuable question. Like I've got like 30 things in my head I haven't even said, but everything you said, I have said. I respect that. No, first off, see, you said that earlier. Nature doesn't make any. When you said earlier that if you look out, no. You were wrong earlier when you said that if you look at it, it was like 8 minutes in the car. You said you look at nature and nature puts this perfect pile of smoke up. I didn't say anything because I didn't say anything. It wasn't my turn to talk, and I wasn't trying. Nature doesn't do anything perfectly. Nature doesn't make a perfect sphere. Nature doesn't make anything equal. There's no such thing perfect or equal in nature. There's no such thing as the color black. There's no such thing as the color black in nature. There's not a dark blue, dark gray, or extremely dark brown. There's no such thing as the color black in nature. Nothing. So nature doesn't do anything perfectly. Nature doesn't duplicate itself. Nature doesn't do anything perfectly. Right? You some like so this conversation turned when she hit the three laws of motion. And I'm not telling you, I'm genuinely, like, I literally said I'm on your side, and I really am. But that was a solid question. That was a solid question.
15 times, and she's like, no.
But you didn't answer it because you can't show geographically the opposite of Alaska happening, because you can't do that.
But we talking about assumptions, though, right? So y'all using an assumption.
That's not an assumption. That's not. First off, that's what
I don't know, because the way I'm hearing it. If I could just jump in real quick, because maybe I need to hear another voice. Because the way I'm hearing it is that if this is layman's terms, if the light is localized and stays lit in Alaska, then there has to be another place where it's dark because the light isn't moving anymore.
I agree with
that's what I'm hearing.
That's most certainly his argument. That's not my argument right now. That's not my argument.
I'm agreeing with you. All I'm saying is
that's most certainly his argument right now. That's not my argument.
Google or agree or say, you know what I'm saying? There's an Alaska, but that doesn't mean that there's a counter Alaska or an opposite of Alaska.
So that's where my argument comes in at. No. That's where my argument comes in at. No. So I agree with everything you said until you just said that last part. What you just said, what he said is exactly what he said, and I agree with it. What I'm saying, which is what is objective, what you're doing now is bringing in subjectivity. It is based on feelings and preference. No,
not at all.
I get, but just let me finish. I take 10 seconds. I'm saying that something has to be objective, and the 3 laws of motion are objective, and you're now making them non-objective due to indoctrination, and that's not the case.
The laws of motion. I'm not even discussing.
No, but I am, and she was, and I am, and based on the laws of motion. And based on the laws of motion, what happens to Alaska should be happening somewhere else.
I'm telling you that it is happening, but
you can't say.
I'm saying it is happening, but y'all telling me where is it happening, and that's where we're getting lost at, right there. That's it.
So no, I'm not telling you where it's happening. You're telling me it is happening without telling me where it's happening.
Because
so you're not telling me anything.
Let me answer that. The reason that I'm saying there's no exact pinpoint to where it's happening because there's not land that's blanketly covering the ocean. There does not have to be a physical geographic.
So then it would be on the ocean then.
That's exactly what I said.
So then it would be on the ocean.
And I even went so
far. It would be on the ocean.
I said
no,
that. Yes.
I know that, but it would be on the ocean and the life forms. It would be on the ocean, and the life forms on that ocean would be very different today.
And I agree.
And we would have pictures and evidence of it.
And I even went
so then therefore you're not answering the question. But therefore you're not answering the question.
How so?
You're replying to the question because every action has an opposite and equal reaction. And this ain't even my question. So what you're saying is okay. So this is where Einstein comes in. You're saying that the laws of motion and the laws of relativity only happen on land, and we know this to be false. We know this to be false because
I'm saying there doesn't.
But you just said it has to be a spot on Earth. It has to be. Why?
Yes.
But there is no water spot and there is no land spot. My friends, the reason why when I am on a plane, when all of us on a plane and we throw a peanut in our mouth and that peanut does not hit our throat at 3,000 miles per hour, it's because of the laws of physics. And what we're not allowed to do is take out the laws of physics because somebody just brought it up and then say that we're no longer listening. Just because you answered the question does not mean that you answered the question, because and there's many times in this conversation I've said, oh yeah, that's a good point. I haven't said anything. I just said it's a good point. But you refuse to relent on the fact that outside of Alaska, there's somewhere else that should be happening. It's somewhere else that should be happening, and it does not. And your argument is it doesn't happen on land. It happens on water, but you can't say it happens on water and we don't see it because your argument is the Earth is not that big. You started off this conversation saying the Earth is not that big.
I'm not repeating what I'm saying. I never said it doesn't happen. What I'm saying is the closest landmass that you can get to an equal opposite is Australia, and they do experience similar phenomena. I'm not saying it doesn't
2 days tops, and that's 2 days tops. 2 days tops.
Well,
2 days
similar.
Similar. No. Alaska.
I'm not saying that the laws
first
of
off,
motion don't exist. I'm not saying any of these things you quote me.
No. Australia does not experience any darkness whatsoever. You can look that up. You can look it up and share your screen. It experiences normal darkness. It does not experience any darkness from prolonged time. It does not. Nor does it experience any prolonged activity of sunlight for a long time. You can look that up.
Are the seasons in Australia the same as our seasons? And why not?
Absolutely, the seasons in Australia are the same as the seasons across the whole world are the same as the seasons across the whole world.
No,
that's no. You first up, no. The seasons across the whole world are the same. What happens is you're the one who respected terrain. You're the one who respected geographical locations. Africa has all the world seasons in its continent. All the world season has the largest desert, and also now you're Mr. No Indoctrination. Africa has the largest rainforests on the planet. The white media would never tell you that. Africa has the largest rainforests on the planet. Also, the largest cities on the planet. also is the largest continent on the planet, also has the largest wildlife on the planet, also has the most species on the planet, and also has the most deserts on the planet. So the argument of does Australia experience these seasons? Every continent experiences
My
seasons.
question was, do they have summer when we have summer? They experience seasons because of the sun's rotation. Their cold times
Bob said
warm
yes.
times.
The whole world
Bob
is
says
at
yes in the
summer
chat.
at the same
Summer in
time.
Australia in December.
Yes.
See, this is the
summer
problem
in
with
the
the
US in
argument
June.
being subjective. No, this is a fact. This is a fact. Summer is worldwide. That's
But
not
it's
so. What you're
cold
talking
there.
about is
That's why they call
barometric
it
pressure. What you're
right.
talking, no, that's
Cold
not.
there.
When what you're no. Cold. See, that's subjective again. This is what my argument is that when you bring in subjective things and try to make them facts, I'll give you subjectives. If your girlfriend or wife, in respect to whoever your queen is, if your queen says it's cold in here and you say no, it's not, that's subjective. But scientifically, the barometric pressure and the molecules are moving in the
subjective.
I don't know where the conversation shifted for you. And it's still not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is that we cannot have a debate and then bring in subjectivity and then not hear and cut one another off on subjectivity when Newton's laws of motion are not subjective. Neither is the molecules are moving in this air in this particular room at 76 degrees because the barometric pressure and the molecules are moving at this particular temperature. Temperature is not subjective. Feeling of cold, hot, and warm is subjective. Temperature, when your thermostat is great in the temperature, it is simply gauging the molecules of movement, the molecules moving in the air at a particular time. That is objective. And somewhere in ours, the conversation has to be objectivity. That's all I'm saying.
I agree
so
with
what Hyphen said,
we went to Alaska.
Because you cannot say that where Alaska does 67 days of pure sunlight, it's happening somewhere else. That's when the conversation was left. That's what Sister Keyshawn said.
This is my whole thing. Are we assuming that there's land?
I'm not making any assumptions.
So then how can you tell me that?
I'm telling you how motion works. Okay. I'm not making any assumptions. I'm telling you that if you jump into a pool,
looking for should pop up on a landmass.
No, sir. No, sir, I'm telling you that if you're driving and you hit a mosquito, the last thing that mosquito will see is the inside of itself, because your windshield exists for a reason, because it's shielding the wind. I'm telling you that while you're driving 70 miles per hour here on planet America, planet Earth in America, 70 miles per hour is what we use. Inertia says while the windshield doesn't let you think you're moving at 70 miles per hour because the shield is shielding you from the wind, plus Einstein's general now theory of relativity, which has been proven, makes you feel everything relative to your 70 miles per hour. I'm telling you, when your ass hit them brakes, your face is going to hit that windshield and it's going to break. You will hit that windshield at 70 miles per hour. That is not up for conjecture. That is not up for discussion, because that's inertia. That's the first law of motion.
Or a fact, if it's subjective or subjective. It says
okay,
the average highs for Australia in December are 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Is that a feeling of hot, or is that subjectively hot? Is that not winter temperatures? Where does that fall in at?
First off, Australia will use Celsius. Secondly, when you bring up temperature, that is objective.
26 degrees Celsius.
Okay. And secondly, when you say Celsius, that is a objective fact. That is the barometric pressure. That is the rating of how fast the molecules are moving within the air. Period. Now, that is an objective fact. That's not something we can disagree with.
That's during December. Can we objectively say that we get winter months in America during December?
That is subjective now, because what you're calling winter months means something different to the whole world. Where as long as you keep it in something that can be measured in mathematics or whatever you want to call it, that's objective. But as soon as you call it, you know why you know why it's objective? Because what you're calling winter, because in winter, out of no possible way. Right now in Texas, we're experiencing winter months. It is cold in Texas, something's degrees. But you know what? You know why it's not winter months? Because harvest is coming out the ground. They're only harvest 2 times a year on planet Earth, spring and fall. So every single time you call something winter and things are growing out the ground as crops, you can no longer say that's objective facts. You may feel it's winter months, but the universe is behaving because winter is too cold to reap harvest. Summer is too hot to reap harvest. These are when you sow. So when you say winter months and things are still coming out the ground, you're no longer talking objective.
I was specifically speaking on September through, December.
That's harvest time. That's harvest time.
Point being, if it's
December
79, if it's 26 degrees Celsius, 79 degrees Fahrenheit on average
today
in Australia during December, on average, these are averages for December in Australia. They're getting the different weather than what we would normally get at that time of year.
But that's based on your non-equator thing that you don't that's based on if you look, I'm not telling you, I'm not arguing for round earth, but you don't get to bring up the barometric pressure of the things moving in the air sitting in the middle of the equator and try to use that to say that I'm wrong about something, but not admit equator exists and controls tropical climate. That's what I'm saying. Because you're making an equator come. If you look at what Australia is, it is literally by the equator.
Well, guys, I think we can go round and round. I think we're going to end up having a part 3, but this is part 2. And I tried, bro. I did. I try to keep it as structured. I try to keep it as structured as possible.
It was completely structured. He wasn't rude. I wasn't rude. Neither one of us were
not
moving.
at all.
Well, I have fun.
Right, not right. That's how it works, and I love it.
No intellectual person should move at all.
I moved on everything else. I moved on everything else, but putting assumptions inside of a debate. Now that is where I took my stand. It's the first time. When you review the tapes, and I'm talking old folk talk. When you review the tapes, I only stood my ground when assumptions came in. That's when I stood my ground. I agree. I relented. I submitted everywhere else.
That
point after point.
Is definitely where everything went left. I think
that's where everything turned. That's right. That's where everything
turned. And that's what happened. That's what happened on the part 1 too. We got to Alaska. So I think on part 3 we're going to deal with Alaska, Australia, and Russia. I think those are the things that we're going to focus on the next one. I think we did a pretty good job talking about curvature.
What we need is to have a rundown and like a imagery of both models. The round Earth model on one side with the sun and moon rotating and the planets rotating, and then the flat Earth model on the other side showing how the things are. So that way, a lot of these questions that we getting will be pointed out.
I completely agree with him. He should be able to get with you offline. Say, man, I need all 93 of these pictures. And every time he mentioned one, he say, put number 93 on the screen real quick. Plus, in fairness, we are doing some Fox News stuff. Yep. Well, you should though. I mean, you should. Yeah, you should. You should. And then also,
we sitting there relaxing. You know what I'm saying? And they're my bosses, man. I ain't trying to prove them too wrong. I don't want to be looking at me.
Oh, fair enough. Then. So that's okay. So that proves my second point. Then that proves my second point. Then that proves my second point for sure. No, that proves my second point for sure. He needs. Well, I don't want to tell you to do your podcast, but I'm just saying that this is some Fox News stuff to where you bring in one liberal. And then you bring in 3 prominent Republicans and attack that Republican. Right. He needs, he needs 3 more flat earthers with him. You know what I'm saying? That's fair. That's fair. This was completely. He held it. King, you held it down. There's no doubt about it. I'm not saying it, but it's unfair what you had to go up against, though. You know what I'm saying? That's that's unfair. And that's not the host doing that. It's just that apparently the people who agree with you are too scared to be as brave as you.
They flaked on you, bro.
See, that's an assumption. See it? That was an assumption. That was an assumption I just made.
Bro. I'm gonna call it how
they flaked on you tonight.
Right here. They right here. I carried them.
Right.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Bob, thanks for holding us down. Thank y'all for holding us down in the chat. I appreciate y'all in the chat. This is an interactive show. It was a lot of stuff going on. It was a lot of stuff going on in the chat, man, that we didn't really get to. Bob says that this was great. Both of you disagreed and held your stance, but showed no disrespect to each other. Great job. That's what this show is all about, bringing people who have opposite viewpoints to the table to have that discussion. Aaron, go ahead, list your socials, let people know where they can find you, bro.
Man, I'm 815 Apparel. As you can see, it's Rockford Strong. You can look up 815 Apparel. I'm Instagram, Facebook, Etsy. You know what I'm saying? 815 Apparel. The 1 is a numeral, 8 and 5 are spelled out. You mentioned that gala earlier for Kika First Entrepreneurial. I'll be there strong. I wanted to ask Antonio if he was coming this year or not.
I believe it's a 95% chance I'm coming. 95% chance I'm coming. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. For those who are viewing at home, coming out to the gala, we'll be there. We won't be talking no flat earth. You know what I'm saying? Y'all come on out.
Yes, we will, because I'm going to be petty and bring it up on purpose. So we are certainly going to talk about flat earth, veganism, and abortion. We're going to talk about all of it. Abortion, veganism, flat earth, Trump. We're going to talk about everything. Gun laws.
I can't wait to see you.
No doubt, Ken. I can't wait to see you too, man. No doubt.
All right.
Come on, all of it.
Antonio, thank you so much for coming on, man. Let them lay out your socials. Let them know where they can find you, man.
Nah, don't find me on social media. Y'all come to HyphenX's YouTube page and then get with him. If you want to get with me, go through him. He'll give you my credentials. I prefer to do it that way, and also go through my man Apparel, King Aaron. Go to his apparel. Do that. God is already good to me. I don't need to back when I was I'm saying back then 6 years ago I'd have did that. Go through them. Get through me. That's how I'm gonna do that today.
Peace, King. Appreciate you.
Well,
yes, sir.
Hey, y'all see, I was going. Don't forget, guys, that today's show was sponsored by Kika First Entrepreneurial Academy, K through 12 school that has dedicated to building tomorrow's future today. Okay, that is going to be in the description, guys. You go to www.kikafirstacademy.org. Go ahead and put that up in there real quick.
We need to start selling DVDs or something, man.
Yeah, you need to run these joints 2 or 3 times a day. I might steal it and put it on my. I am gonna steal it and put it on my podcast. I give you 3 days.
Yeah,
after that, I'm gonna steal it and put it on my podcast.
Come on, man. That's all right. I'm not worried about it, man, because we all in this together, man. Hey, you guys, appreciate everybody for coming on, man. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Here we're live on the Great Conversation Podcast, live podcast here live on the LFP Network, Looking Forward Productions Network, guys. Go ahead, click that subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you think. And also, we're also interested in what do you want us to talk about? You want to come on? Let me know. We got business sponsorships. Let me know. Come on. Right there at Great Conversation. Let's talk at gmail.com is right there at the bottom of the screen. Go ahead, email us exactly what it is that you want to do and what you want to talk about, because this is all ultimately for you, the crowd. Once again, thanks my panelists for coming on. Guys, on the 13th of May, we're doing a special Mother's Day episode, and we're going to answer the ancient question, what is a woman? That's what we're going to be talking about May 13th.
No parts of that episode. No parts of that episode. I don't want none of that smoke. None.
We like. We talk about the taboo subjects here on the Great Conversation Podcast, man. And you know what we like to say here at the Great Conversation Podcast is that you don't always have to agree to have a great conversation.
Always.
Peace.
Peace, kings, peace.